So let's continue.
Yes, Honorable Kinsley Nyaku.
Mr. Speaker, thanks for indulging me. And for the records, our friends opposite us are less than 30. They are less than 30. Mr. Speaker, I would like to find out from the minister if the ministry and the minister will be intentional in providing financial support to actualize the Ghana Health Infrastructure Strategy 2025-2029. Because in your response, you said that they will be activated when you have fiscal space. But I'm asking if you'll be intentional in finding resources to actualize this strategy. Thank you.
Well, you may answer for whatever it's worth.
Mr. Speaker, my response to this question is that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, has made an emphatic statement that he's not going to abandon any ongoing or already abandoned project. So, Mr. Speaker, we have comprehensive programs to make sure all these projects are completed. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had wanted to talk to my senior Honorable Akando offline, but since the NDC members are 19, I just want to say it here so that they will hear on TV. On paragraph 3 of your answer, paragraph 3 of your answer, Mr. Speaker, I just want to quote, under this program, the dialysis machine initiative has been prioritized and is currently under the tendering stage to expand access to dialysis service and improve the management of renal conditions, end of quote. Since, Honorable Minister, since you've mentioned the fact that the process at the tendering stage, can you educate this House or give that information to this House, whether or not the procurement method you're using is international, national competitive, or single source? Thank you. Mr. Speaker,
yes,
thank you.
You have the floor. Boama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the minister indicated that that is paragraph 5 of his answer. The maintenance health service agencies, including Ghana Health Service and teaching hospital facilities, have been directed to allocate not less than 10% of their internally generated funds towards maintenance I would like to find out from the minister, since this directive was given, what has been the status of allocating 10% to? What has been the status of the hospitals and the teaching hospitals making that allocation to do maintenance for the hospitals? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this directive is a very new one. It was issued early this year, and we are following up to its implementation.
Honourable members, let's move to question number 555. Standing in the name of Alexander Akwesi Akwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Health what plans the Ministry has to address the issue of poor maintenance culture in healthcare facilities and ensure that they are equipped to provide quality healthcare services. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the Honourable Member for Akemoda for the question on the Ministry's plans to address poor maintenance culture in health facilities and ensure that facilities are adequately equipped to deliver quality healthcare services. The Ministry of Health recognizes that sustainable healthcare infrastructure and reliable medical equipment depend on strong maintenance culture, effective asset management, and timely replacement of obsolete equipment. In response to observed weaknesses in routine and planned preventive maintenance in some facilities, deliberate steps are being implemented. These include strengthening maintenance governance through sector-wide maintenance policies and standards, supported by an equipment policy that provides clear guidelines for servicing, upkeep, and replacement. An asset management and maintenance system is also being implemented to improve planning, tracking, and accountability, and to shift facilities from an ad hoc repairs to planned preventive maintenance. Capacity is being strengthened through sensitization and targeted training of facility managers on planned preventive and routine maintenance. In addition, all health service agencies, including the Ghana Health Service and teaching hospital facilities, have been instructed to allocate a fixed percentage of their internally generated funds towards maintenance to ensure predictable financing and reduce avoidable breakdowns. Mr. Speaker, maintenance has also been strengthened through regulation and oversight. In particular, maintenance is now a key metric in assessment conducted by the Health Facility Regulatory Agency, so that routine inspections and licensing processes take account of infrastructure condition, equipment functionality, and adherence to maintenance plans. Mr. Speaker, these measures are intended to institutionalize regular maintenance and keep facilities safe, functional, and properly equipped for quality service delivery. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, I have one supplementary question. Does the Ministry have any plan in outsourcing some of this maintenance jobs to other private people who could readily be available to maintain our equipment?
Yes. Can there be available leader?
Mr. Speaker, the majority side must know that their front bench must not be empty at all times. There's nobody there, it's empty.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the observation from the Honourable Member is accurate and it's in our contemplation.
Honourable members, let's move to question number 251. You need to get up early because I look around. There was nobody thereafter. Yes.
I'm very sorry, sir. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, In the minister's answer to 10% of IGF, in his first answer, he said, Ghana Health Service and teaching hospital facilities have been directed to allocate not less than 10% of their IGF. In the next question too, he says they've been instructed to allocate a fixed percentage of their IGF. I want to find out from the minister, what is the actual percentage?
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, not less than 10%.
Question number 251, standing in the name of Honorable Mavis Kukwa Bisi. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Health the status of the Western Regional Hospital project at Afenyo-Markin, which was awarded to Amandi Construction under the MPP government, and the measures being taken to ensure its timely completion. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for Hunter West for the question on the status of the Western Regional Hospital project at Afenyo-Markin and the measures being taken to commence works and ensure timely completion. Mr. Speaker, the project was affected by the domestic debt exchange program in 2022, which disrupted financing for externally funded infrastructure projects. Consequently, work stalled in 2023, and both the Afenyo-Markin project and the Fiankwanta redevelopment remain suspended, pending debt restructuring and the renewal of financial agreement with the relevant export credit agencies. Mr. Speaker, government is actively working to conclude the restructuring and renew the financial framework, after which the Afenyo-Markin hospital project will be placed back on track for completion to ease pressure on existing facilities in the Western region. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
No supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, members, let's move to question number 265. Standing in the name of Honorable Emmanuel Tobin.
Mr. Speaker, I have the permission and authority from Honorable Emmanuel Tobin to ask the question on his behalf.
Yes, do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To ask the Minister for Health the status of the Agenda 111 District Hospital in the Afenyo-Markin constituency in the Ghana Central Municipality. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the Honourable Member for Afenyo-Markin for the question on the current status of Agenda 111 District Hospitals project in the Afenyo-Markin constituency within the Ghana Central Municipality. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the completion arrangement, the Ministry of Finance, by correspondence dated 13th February 2025, formally notified the Ministry of Health to incorporate the Agenda 111 project into its budget proposal for 2025 and beyond. And the ministry has accordingly captured the Agenda 111 program in its 2025 budget. Further to this, following handover directive from the presidency, the ministry has taken charge of the Agenda 111 project. Following the handover, the ministry engaged the management from AESL to undertake a special audit assignment, and the report has been submitted. In due course, the ministry will finalize the strategic implementation plan for Agenda 111 and engage the Ministry of Finance for the necessary guidance and support towards dedicated budgetary allocation. The ministry will also explore complementary financing options, including support from private partners who may be interested in assisting to complete these important projects. Mr. Speaker, the ministry remains committed to working closely with all stakeholders to ensure the timely and successful delivery of district hospitals for the people of Anya-Soutium and the wider GA Central Municipality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I rest my case.
Honourable members, question time is ended. On your behalf, I sincerely thank the Minister responsible for health for attending upon the House to respond to scheduled questions. Once again, thank you for coming. You are accordingly discharged. Honourable members, by the agreement of the House, we are moving to statements. The first statement is by the Young Parliamentarians Forum. You have the floor. Honourable members, if they are not here, I would direct that the statement be published in the Hansard. Yes?
Speaker, I believe that the next in line is the minority chief whip. So we'll take it in that order.
Well, I will do it in the order that it appears in the order paper. So I will direct that the statement numbered A be published in the Hansard. As we take B, it stands in the name of Honorable Frank Anon Dompre, Member of Parliament for Nsauma Dwajiri. You have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I rise to speak on a call for legislation on ECOSED in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a profound sense of urgency and responsibility to speak on a matter that transcends partisan politics, economic growth, and short-term development agenda. I speak to the need for legislative action against ECOSED, the mass destruction of ecosystems, and for Ghana to align itself with the growing global movement to make environmental devastation a punishable crime, both domestically and internationally. Mr. Speaker, ECOSED is defined by an independent expert panel convened by Stop ECOSED International, and I quote, "Unlawful or wanton acts of committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment," and unquote. This is not abstract rhetoric. It is a legal concept with measurable criteria. Damage that is severe, widespread, or long-term. It goes far beyond regulatory fines or administrative sanctions. It is about criminal accountability for decisions and actions that destroy the very foundation of life and livelihood. Speaker, the current legal framework in international law, notably the Rome Statute of International Criminal Court, lists genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and aggression. ECOSED is not yet recognized as a standalone international crime during peacetime, even though environmental destruction today causes consequences on par with the gravest human rights abuses. Speaker, this absence in international law creates a legal vacuum. Corporations, state actors, and individuals can commit ecological destruction, deforestation, industrial pollution, oil spills, and climate amplifying activities with limited criminal liability. This is not just a theoretical concern. The Nigerian Niger Delta, for example, has suffered over 7,000 oil spills from 1970 to 2000. Devastating water, soil, and human health, and with full environmental restoration estimated to take decades. Such destruction is paradigmatic of ecocide. Globally, however, momentum is building to fill this void. At least 11 countries have already incorporated ecocide into their domestic law, including Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Ecuador, Chile, France, and Belgium. Speaker, in 2023, Belgium became the first European Union country to criminalize ecocide as part of its penal code revisions, demonstrating a political will to hold those who cause severe ecological harm to account. Across the world, Brazil, Mexico, the Netherlands, Italy, Argentina, France, Polynesia, India, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Peru, who are advancing legislative proposals aimed at similar goals. This is not merely environmental law. It is justice law, recognizing ecocide as a crime, embeds a moral framework into legal systems. As noted by legal scholars and advocates, criminalization signals a societal consensus, and destroying ecosystems is morally and legally unacceptable, similar to how criminal law treats thefts or harm to persons. In Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo publicly endorsed ecocide as an international crime at the 2024 UN Biodiversity Conference, joining the calls from the Pacific states like Fiji, Vanuatu, and Samoa to strengthen the environmental protection through criminal law. Speaker, why should Ghana act now? Ecological boundary crossing. As a country affected by deforestation, illegal mining, galamsey, and water pollution, Ghana's ecosystems are under severe stress. Recent reports indicate that up to 60% of our water bodies have suffered pollution due to illegal mining, a form of uncontrolled environmental degradation that threatens health, agriculture, and future prosperity. The Speaker, moral responsibility. Environmental stability is foundational to food security, human health, and sustained economic development. The consequences of ecological damage are anti-generational. They affect our children, their livelihoods, and their right to healthy environment. Criminalizing ecocide affirms our collective duty of care towards our nature and future generations. By legislating ecocide as a crime, Ghana can position itself as a leader in environmental justice in Africa, much like the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Belgium on their respective continent, showing that environmental protection is inseparable from human rights, climate justice, and sustainable development. So in conclusion, we must pass a domestic ecocide law, introduce a standalone legal provision defining and criminalizing ecocide with clear thresholds for severity, duration, and impact, model on the Stop Ecocide International definition, align with international law, advocates at the Assembly of States, parties of the International Criminal Court to include ecocide as the 5th international crime, thereby enabling prosecution of the most severe environmental harms globally. Ghana has an opportunity to be a regional and continental leader, championing ecocide law to protect not only Ghana, but other African Environmental Ministerial Conference on Environment and other African Union, strengthen enforcement mechanisms, empower Ghana's environmental protection agencies and judiciary with investigative authority, evidence standards, and prosecutorial capacity to ensure accountability. Penal sanctions and remedies. Ensure penalties are proportionate and deterrent, including custodial sentences as well as financial penalties for individuals and corporations and mandatory environmental restoration orders. Speaker, protecting our ecosystems is not an optional policy. It is a fundamental commitment to future generations, to human dignity, and to the harmony between economic development and environmental stewardship. Let us give meaning to that commitment by making ecocide a crime and Ghanaian law by supporting its recognition under international law. I recommend the government in proposing the creation of a national crime of ecocide as part of the proposal made by the Constitutional Review Committee from electoral democracy to developmental democracy, and urge a swift progression in the creation of national ecocide legislation to protect our economy now and into the future. Speaker, I thank you and I'm grateful.
Thank you. Honourable members, any guidance to the number of comments that we will take on each statement? We have about 12 statements for today.
I am trying to reach agreement with my brother. That's his statement. So given the number of statements we have, we want to agree that we take 1-1 plus leadership. So that makes it 4. That makes it 4. It's such a major statement, I agree. But if we take 4 contributors each, then we have a lot of statements to cover. Speaker.
Yeah, the statements are about 12.
Yes. Okay.
Very well. If that is the agreement of the House, I will then open the floor.
I'm sorry. It is not an agreement of the House. It is a recommendation from him.
Very well. What do you say to it?
I don't, because I'm involved, I don't want to hazard any guess. But clearly, if you see colleagues who are 2-2 should be okay. I think 2 should be okay. That's my humble view.
Yes, that's what he's saying. But that 2-2 should include leadership. So 4 comments on 1 statement. Yes, in order of seniority, I'll give the floor to Honorable Charles Agbebe.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for recognizing my seniority. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to commend the maker of the statement. Ever since I joined Parliament, he's been very consistent in making statements on the environment. In fact, he's been consistent, he's been persistent and passionate about statements on environment. Ecocide is definitely a crime. By its own definition, mass destruction of the ecosystem. Unfortunately, only 11 countries have passed a domestic law on ecocide. And in Africa, only 1. That's Democratic Republic of Congo. It even tells you that the world, or the countries in the world, are not taking issues of environment seriously. Criminalizing ecocide is very, very critical because we have laws already that punishes people who infringe on the ecosystem or the environment. But I think making a law on ecocide will further strengthen and deter people from destroying the ecosystem or the environment. Mr. Speaker, ecocide, as researched and well written by the maker of the statement, helps us to criminalize destruction of the environment. And in doing so, will position Ghana with Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa as the countries leading this charge. And it's very important for me because we have challenges in Ghana: sand winning, plastic waste, galamsey, pollution of the water bodies. It's important for us to show commitment and seriousness by passing this law criminalizing ecocide. It's also our collection. It's important for us to work towards protecting nature and the future generations of this country, Mr. Speaker. And further, I also support the call to make ecocide the fifth international crime internationally, because that way, then we can be making sure that countries will comply with very important legislations concerning ecocide. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank the maker of the statement and encourage him to continue the good work he's doing on the environment.
Honourable members, let's have in mind that the comment should not exceed 5 minutes. Yes, Honourable Dr. Kabiru.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also join in commending the minority chief whip for his consistency on this subject matter. Mr. Speaker, I think that his attitude towards the environment is something that we must all emulate as members of parliament, especially so when environmental issues are at the heart of even contemporary development issues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the make of the statement brings our attention to a very major influence, ecocide. Mr. Speaker, we know as a fact that deliberate and wanton and mass destruction of human lives constitute, a crime international. And if life is not to be distinguished, I think plant and animal lives are equally important. That to the extent that persons would deliberately or negligently destroy the lives of animals and the lives of plants, to that extent, Mr. Speaker, I think that it is something that we need to look at as a country. That despite the fact that we have so many environmental laws, Mr. Speaker, the Ramsar Convention, which Ghana has actually ratified, and we are actually having 6 Ramsar sites. Mr. Speaker, currently, those sites are endangered, despite the strict liability of this particular, offenses associated with the destruction of this particular natural and biological lives. So, Mr. Speaker, the time for us to give much more attention to issues of ecocide is now, and I think that the make of the statement is timely. Mr. Speaker, we are making this statement at a time that climate change is at the forerunner of global issues. Mr. Speaker, at the heart of ecocide, or at the heart of the destruction we cause to plants and animals, is the issue of global warming, is the issue of climate change. And Mr. Speaker, no country, no state is isolated from the reeling effect of climate change. And I think that we need to embrace this. Mr. Speaker, the moral imperativeness, the necessity of this particular legislation has been highlighted by the maker of the statement. And I want to add to the fact that flooding is much more common in our jurisdiction because of issues of destruction to plant and animal lives. We also have issues of emergence of new diseases. We also have issues about migratory birds. Recently, I raised an issue about the fact that migratory birds are distracting farm fields in the north. Mr. Speaker, all these are attendant effects of climate change and then destruction to plants and animal life. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join the maker of the statement to call on the state, Ghana, and this parliament to, put at the heart of our deliberation and the heart of our legislation issues about environment and the need to protect the environment, especially criminalizing issues of destruction or negligent or deliberate destruction of plants and animal life. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, minority leadership. It has come to leadership, 1-1.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me, most importantly, eulogize the maker of the statement. Against the backdrop that a he has been more than persistent in dealing with issues of the environment. In fact, this morning I've had personally to engage him to further, as it were, recommend to him to do a PhD in environmental law, because he's been very well versed on environmental matters. And that is why it is critical for him to go beyond what he has today. Mr. Speaker, he brings to the fore ecocide. And that tells you that, in fact, it talks about the killing of the natural environment. That is the literal definition or meaning. Mr. Speaker, the natural environment is on the large scale of destruction. The massive destruction of our environment needs each and everyone's attention. Mr. Speaker, and the kind of destruction emanates from human activities, one of which is galamsey, illegal mining. Mr. Speaker, I read a piece recently about how the Bui Dam is at the verge of destruction because of illegal mining. And Mr. Speaker, I've been more worried at the fact that people who hitherto were prosecutors and persecutors of galamsey have all gone quiet, when the situation has actually even gone beyond the prevalence level as it then was. Mr. Speaker, another which is critical, and in fact it's pari passu, it's side by side, it's deforestation. Because anybody who has to go into illegal mining will end up felling trees. And when the trees are all removed, the system, the ecosystem, the ecology, the green belt becomes very devastated. In environments that we would have said to ourselves that, oh, Accra is busy, it's hot, and I want to drive out of Accra and go somewhere and have some quiet realization. Mr. Speaker, you're unable to do so. Why? Because all the trees are being pulled down just because we want to make money, to the neglect of very essential commodities that no human being can ever manufacture, which is air. Mr. Speaker, today, when we are talking about pollution, our lifestyles, almost everybody is drinking bottled water or plastic water. Mr. Speaker, people go and all they afford is sachet water, plastic or bottled water. Mr. Speaker, when they are done drinking, the indiscriminate disposal of this is creating wanton filth and squalor. And Mr. Speaker, if care is not taken, you can check. In my constituency, for instance, anytime it rains, there is a problem. Why? Because the drains are choked, all manner of desilting and whatever has not supported this, has not brought any solution to these problems. People are building in waterways and nobody is able to do anything. The powers that be, respectfully, have even gone to sleep because either they are beneficiaries or they are associates. Mr. Speaker, this statement is really critical because in these modern times, in recent times one was in the US, they could not even tell the inches of snow that was going to come up. When it started snowing, people just could not tell that, oh, we're going to have 22 inches of snow. And all as a result of the way we handle ourselves, our human activities, how we are damaging the ecosystem. And in Ghana, the major one, Mr. Speaker, which I'm very sure that you bear with me on that and you agree with me, is galamsey. Mr. Speaker, let the powers that be take serious look at it. Like my honorable chief whip, the hardworking chief whip said, there is the critical need for us to look at making laws to ensure that our environment and enforcing the laws. Because, Mr. Speaker, most of the laws are there. We have either refused to execute those or, in fact, ensure that those laws work, or people are beneficiaries of these laws and therefore they have gone to sleep. And we are suffering. We should think about the generation.
Yes, so they are keeping the 5 minutes automatically.
Mr. Speaker, I'm okay. I was hoping that leadership will be given more time, but if the time is taken, it's fine. I want
Yes,
to take this
majority
opportunity to
leadership.
thank you once again.
Speaker, may I yield to Dr. Winsome Manaba?
Yes, Doc, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to comment on this very important statement ably made by the Chief Whip of the minority side. I think I will join everybody to at least commend him for his consistency when it comes to environment. Yes, ecocide is detrimental to us. We've heard of the definition, and we are all alarmed. It is to protect current generation and future generations. If you want to listen to what other commentators, other members commented about it, we're all speaking about how we are depleting the forest, which is far away. We are talking about contaminating of our water bodies, which is dangerous to our health. And as a health worker, I have looked around our big cities, and I've seen that besides complaining about the forest being depleted and waters being contaminated, within our own environment that we have created to live ourselves in our big cities, we are actually practicing ecocide. We have laws in our district assemblies to prevent that from taking place. But we are failing to implement laws that will prevent us from being extinct, from being polluted, and developing diseases that would harm us and lead us to extinction. I want to talk about the work of the assemblies and in the EPA and ensuring that our cities are not turned into what we call methane production industries. If you watch Ghana, all our big cities, we are gradually practicing ecocide. Rubber bags being thrown everywhere. You go to the field site where they dump rubbish, and it is stacked with rubbish. Even in farms, you go and rubbish are everywhere. Polythene is everywhere, preventing the ground to re-exchange gases. We are emitting more methane in our big cities simply because we are not implementing environmental laws. We are not executing what we are supposed to do to prevent this from happening. So I would say that there are low-hanging fruits, not only the forest being depleted, not only the waters being contaminated, but the cities themselves, where we have wetlands, we have encroached on all the wetlands. The few forest reserves we have inside the cities to provide oxygen and pure air for us to breathe, we are cutting the trees down and building mansions, encroaching on them. The wetlands where we are supposed to have, different species to live harmoniously with us, we are destroying all the wetlands. And now, what we see in our big cities in Ghana now is the production of methane, which is very detrimental to our health, simply because no one is punishing the other. The laws are not working. So even if we sign up to this law, just like Singapore is doing, you can't chew a gum, you can't hold a rubber bag. Just like Rwanda is doing, you can't have a polythene bag in Rwanda, simply because they know the devastating effect of throwing garbage everywhere. If we want to implement it in Ghana, it will be a problem. This is where I think the low-hanging fruits must be handled first. Then we can polish up this international fever that is going around now in 11 countries, that ecocide should be a crime to humanity, and that it should be punishable by law, by international laws. If this is actually realized, and the whole world accept that ecocide is punishable by law, I think even wars in the world will change the methods of fighting our wars. We see today, oil refineries are being blown out, which is causing chemicals all around the world. We've seen how water plants in countries like Iran, like in Israel, are being blown up, which is destroying ecosystems. I really support the call by the leader that we should make ecocide a crime against humanity, so that wars fought around the world, no one will attempt to blast an oil refinery, because today, Iran and Israel, they are suffering the consequences. I'm not only talking for Ghana. We have to be patriotic and we have to be human beings, because that alone is causing fumes across, and people will start developing diseases as a result of those chemical reactions that are taking place. To this end, I commend the maker of the statement and call for Ghana to also consider ecocide as a law for us to establish to prevent the destruction of the small ecosystem that we have. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
That's the end of comment to that statement ably made by the minority chief whip. We now move to statement numbered C, standing in the name of Honorable Dr. Abednego Lamajin Bandim. You have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make this statement on data protection. Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the privilege to deliver this vital statement in commemoration of Data Protection Week, which was last week, of which, Mr. Speaker, yourself, you were invited to partake, and the second Deputy Speaker ably represented you and made statement on your behalf. Mr. Speaker, this is a pivotal occasion. It is indicated, or it is dedicated to elevating national awareness, advancing fundamental policy rights, the rigorously strengthening institutional compliance in an era where digital information drives sovereign governance and economic development. Our responsibility is clear. Safeguarding the personal data our citizens has never been more urgent. The House is the ultimate embodiment of democratic accountability. We recognize that the trust reposed in us by the Ghanaian citizens extends beyond legislation and oversight. It demands the absolute uncompromising protection of their digital identity. In furtherance of this mandate, the Data Protection Commission, alongside the Ghana Association of Privacy Professionals, has adopted a compelling theme, which is your data, your identity, building trust in Ghana's digital future. This will anchor a comprehensive month-long series of national celebrations. Mr. Speaker, this initiative reaffirms our collective commitment to the Data Protection Act of 2012. The principles of Act 843 are unequivocal. Personal data must be processed lawfully, fairly, and transparently. It must be collected exclusively for specific legitimate purposes. It must remain accurate, secure, and retained strictly within statutory limits. Compliance is not merely a bureaucratic duty, it is a moral imperative. It underscores our profound respect for the digital autonomy and freedoms of every Ghanaian. We must acknowledge a hard truth about our interconnected digital ecosystem. Catastrophic data breaches are no longer just technical failures. The most severe vulnerabilities are human and behavioral. They stem from weak cybersecurity practice, sophisticated phishing attacks, and the careless handling of official information. They also arise from exposing personal data on platforms like Facebook, X, TikTok, and WhatsApp. These platforms are vulnerable and for public engagement, yet they remain highly porous channels. Sensitive information can be unintentionally disclosed, irregularly manipulated, or maliciously exploited. Mr. Speaker, the sophistication of cyber threats is escalating. Synthetic identity theft, digital impersonation, and unauthorized data harvesting demand uncompromising vigilance from all of us. The relentless work of our regulatory bodies highlights an absolute necessity. We need continuous education, responsible digital conduct, and strict adherence to security protocols. Data protection is not a technological dilemma we can simply outsource to IT department. It is a fundamental human responsibility. It requires discipline and accountability at every echelon of institutional activities. Mr. Speaker, the late Dr. Kofi Annan proudly observed that knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. This timeless wisdom reminds us of a critical balance. The digital flow of information empowers our institutions and our citizens, but it must be managed with utmost responsibility. We must ensure its power serves the public good rather than undermining our national security and compromising individual privacy. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament handles vast quantities of highly sensitive information daily. We process restricted administrative records, citizen petitions, confidential committee documents, and witness testimonies. The very nature of our work demands the highest echelon of data privacy protection. It is incumbent upon us to guarantee our data architecture are fortified. We must protect them against unauthorized access, misuse, or catastrophic loss. Strengthening our internal system is essential in legal compliance. More importantly, it is vital for preserving unwavering public confidence in the integrity of this House. Mr. Speaker, in October 2025, the Select Committee on Information and Communication conducted a comprehensive working visit to the Data Protection Commission. The committee was thoroughly briefed on the Commission's achievements, its ongoing project, and its present operational challenges. We witnessed firsthand the hurdle they face in policing our data economy. Mr. Speaker, the Commission is rapidly scaling up punitive measures against non-compliance under their law, Section 56. These include severe fines and potential imprisonment. Mr. Speaker, I conclude with a charge calling on all honorable members and staff of Parliament to actively engage in the activities planned for the critical initiative. Integrate core data protection principles into our daily workforce. Let us unequivocally demand that the Parliament of Ghana lead, for example. We must safeguard the personal information of our constituents. We must uphold the highest standards of confidentiality, integrity, responsibility in all that we do. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Patrick Yaubwama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make some few comments on the statement ably made by my colleague from Bunkrugu. Mr. Speaker, Act 843 was passed in 2012, and I think it's about time that with the developments in the world and the coming into force of social media, which has taken over the traditional media space, ought to undergo some reforms and to bring the art in conformity with the global trend. Mr. Speaker, data has been collected from us by the National Health Insurance Authority the Driver's Licensing Authority, National Identification Authority, the National Communications Authority, Birth and Death Registry, and other agencies of state, Mr. Speaker. Data, we say, is gold. And if you read Section 96 of the Act, the definition of data has been expanded. And with your kind permission, I'll just read a couple for you to appreciate what we are talking about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, data means information under Section 96, the interpretation section, means information which A, is processed by means of equipment operating automatically in response to instructions given for that purpose. B, is recorded with the intention that it should be processed by means of such equipment, and so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, there are sanctions regimes attached to the Act, which also enjoins the Minister of Communication to come to the House with some regulations to see to the implementation of this Act. Mr. Speaker, anyone who violates the use of someone's data or without going through the right processes is required to pay about 60,000 Ghana cedis or face a sentence of no less than 10 years or both. Mr. Speaker, there are legislations and laws that governs data protection. But in our country, you realize that people just abuse people's data, use them anyhow without any sanctions or enforcement. And that requires the law enforcement agents to be trained professionally, because you have data of kids, members of parliament, chiefs, and very prominent people and other members of society being used and abused for financial purposes without recourse to the Enabling Act. And it's a call in the right direction by the maker of the statement for us to appreciate the need for data protection and also enforce the cybersecurity laws of this country to protect our image and our kids going forward. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm enjoying leadership here, Mr. Speaker. Available leader. Let me commend the maker of the statement for bringing to fore a very important subject matter, which has to do with data protection, Mr. Speaker. We all know that data is a very critical need that we would need for the development of our countries. It is important for planning, it is important for economic development, it is important for growth. So it becomes very important that we cannot do without data, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the technology today has made data to be very vulnerable to distraction. A lot of people now can infiltrate, because of technology, into people's data. And so you and I, Mr. Speaker, remain naked. Because of the technology you have today. And if we don't take steps to ensure that we protect data, no one is safe. If you watch the war that is happening in the Middle East, you would see that it is because of the data countries have of other countries. That is why they are able to target them, set and target 2,000 miles away. You sit in your room, somebody can target because of your data. The fellow has been able to infiltrate and track you. So it is important that we pay attention to that of the data, Mr. Speaker. In this country, a lot of people don't have understanding of how it works. And so for that matter, you see people just giving themselves out and making it difficult, making it easier for people to go through their data. And so in recent times, you'd find people just going about, you find people, their very bad side of their bodies being leaked in the social media. It's because of the fact that we understand how it works, Mr. Speaker. So I think that we need to do a lot of sensitization. Days like this, it is important we take advantage and sensitize people to understand how data works today. So that when you are holding your phone, you know how to manage your data. Even those who are supposed to gather the data, collect the data, they know what they are supposed to be doing. Because if you are put to gather data, Mr. Speaker, you are supposed to ensure that you uphold to truthfulness. You are supposed to ensure that you uphold to confidentiality. You are supposed to ensure that you kind of protect the identity of the data you are collecting. So people don't know this. So if we take steps to ensure that we sensitize the public on days like this for people to understand the need to protect data. I think that will be helpful, Mr. Speaker. Just to wrap up, Mr. Speaker, the laws that we have in this country has adequately addressed that of data protection. We have enough laws. Some of them have been mentioned by my senior colleague over there. He has enumerated a number of laws. But how to enforce this is the problem. So I want to strongly recommend that those who are responsible in enforcing that, we deal with people who are found to be to breach these regulations. We ensure that they are properly handled. And I'm sure it will serve as a deterrent to those who probably have the intention of going to that. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, minority.
Speaker, I will yield to Honorable Dr. Kabiru.
Yes, Dr. Kabiru, you have the floor. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will want to commend the chairman of my committee for that statement. And also, let me add that, Mr. Speaker, we participated in the Data Protection Conference, and the presentation and discussion brought to the fore and the need for us to look at the Data Protection Act, and that Honorable Patrick Boama has alluded to. It was one of the cardinal outcomes of that particular conference, the need for us to review, re-examine the current legislative framework guiding the protection of data. Mr. Speaker, but since 2012, and following the enactment of the Data Protection Act, Parliament has been consistent in every single legislation we pass in this particular act, in this particular house. We reflect adequately the need for data protection. And I would want to commend the House of Parliament for that consistency, that we made the law, and in fidelity to that law and in being consistent with the dictates of that law, we provide for every single subsequent act or bill, act we are law we are making in this House the need for adequate safeguard. Mr. Speaker, the Data Protection Act provides for protection by any person or any institution that is responsible for the collection and processing of data to provide some safeguards. And that is why within the Act, there are requirements for data controllers to be registered with the Data Protection Commission. Mr. Speaker, this again, I want to note that Parliament is one of the few institutions that have adequately regularized and made same the registration of our data system by making sure that our data, as a data controller, we register with the Data Protection Commission. Mr. Speaker, the issues about data protection are so serious. They are serious because every now and then you go to social media, you see the display without any sense of hiding the identity of people or valuable and vital information of persons. People splash this information of individuals, including politicians, in the public space. Mr. Speaker, I think this is not what the law actually is envisioning. The law actually wanted to protect us against free flow of personal information in a manner that is not prescribed by law. And to see people still in the habit of exploiting and mining personal data of persons and putting same in the media or putting same in public spaces without, the requirement of the law, Mr. Speaker, I think it is something that seriously we need to do. But the problem is that institutions, almost every single institution in Ghana is actually processing or collecting data of one way or the other. A data of one sort or another is going to be processed or collected, even if they are data of your employees, Mr. Speaker, they still constitute part of the data of the person. And I think that if we do not do something about this, a time will come that people will not feel safe about providing their data to institution or data persons responsible for the collection of this data. Mr. Speaker, the last thing I want to draw your attention to on this particular subject is the need for us, which has actually been overflow, that contingent to this is also the right of the person, how am I going to put it? Mr. Speaker, the right of the person to know that my information is actually safe. There is responsibility on the data protection. Mr. Speaker, on these people, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honourable members, we have come to an end of that vital statement on data protection. Indulge me to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Arnold Kavapro. He is the Acting Executive Director of Data Protection Agency. We have Abigail Yebua, Head of Administration, Daniel Amano, HR Manager, Kweku Ajay Labi, Head of Accounts, and staff of Data Protection Agency. On your behalf, I welcome them to Parliament of Ghana and urge them to have a fruitful visit to Parliament. We then move to the next statement standing in the name of Honorable Felicia Ajay, Member of Parliament for Kintampo South. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make a statement on a vital issue at the heart of our democracy. Around the world, many successful democracies use proportional representation as a fairer way to convert votes into seats. And various stakeholders have been examining gender equity and seeking ways to build a better, more inclusive system in which every citizen's voice is valued. Under this system, if a political party wins 30% of national votes, it receives about 30% of the seats in parliament. This ensures that every vote counts and that even smaller parties and minority groups are represented.
Countries such as South Africa, Namibia, Rwanda, and Senegal have adopted proportional representation to strengthen democracy and inclusion. Mr. Speaker, proportional representation fosters gender inclusion. In Rwanda, for instance, the proportional system has allowed women to hold over 60% of parliamentary seats, making it one of the most gender-balanced legislatures in the world. Mr. Speaker, Ghana currently using the first-past-the-post system, where the candidates with the most votes in the constituencies win. Why simple? It often leaves many votes uncounted and reduces opportunities for women and minority groups. As a result, our parliament does not fully reflect the diversity of our population. Mr. Speaker, the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024 at 1121 was a bold step towards encouraging women participation. However, laws alone cannot achieve equity if the electoral system does not support inclusion. One proven approach is the use of gender balance or the zebra list, which required parties to alternate between the male and female candidates when seats are allocated. This guarantees fairness by design, not by chance. Mr. Speaker, Ghana could adopt a hybrid model, such as those in Germany and New Zealand, where some members are elected from constituencies and others from parties less based on the population of the national votes. This preserves a local representation while enhancing fairness and inclusivity. Mr. Speaker, gender equity is both justice and good governance. The Affirmative Action Act has laid a strong foundation. Proportional representation with gender-balanced lists could build upon it to create a truly inclusive and representative parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honourable members, that's a statement ably made by Honourable Felicia J. on gender equity in governance. The floor is now open for comment. Yes, Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I commend the maker of the statement highly for this gender statement concerning gender and representation. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the global percentage on gender representation in Parliament, we have just about 26.1%. And when you come to Ghana, we have about 14% of women representation in Parliament, which is not encouraging. So I think it's high time our political parties make efforts to not to just say, yes, we need women in Parliament or we need women representations, but there should be some political and party enforcement of the representation of women. We will be very happy as women if our seats are protected by political parties, making an effort that wherever a woman is, at least for your first or second term in Parliament, nobody should contest you. So that will be a form of encouragement. But we'll be guided with maybe our activities in Parliament and all that. Will be taken into consideration. By so doing, more women will be encouraged to work harder in Parliament because they know that if you don't perform well, maybe you will not be given that opportunity of nobody contesting you. I think that will encourage a lot of women to take up to be more courageous, to be more courageous and also have the confidence to contest. Mr. Speaker, this is a time for women to take up leadership positions, and then I think the time is ripe for us to rise up to the occasion and say that it's time for women to take political positions, not only in Parliament, or not only representing the representation in Parliament, but in all other aspects of leadership. So, Mr. Speaker, as we speak now, yes, in Ghana we have a woman as a vice president, which is a step in the right direction. And we know that more other positions are there, but there is the percentage that is lacking. So I'll encourage this medium to encourage our women to try and take up to take up positions. We shouldn't just be relaxed or feel reluctant or feel intimidated. Most women feel intimidated to hold this position because the men actually intimidate us sometimes. So yes, it's true, the men intimidate us sometimes. We are pleading with them that they should give us the space to operate, and by so doing, a lot of people will be encouraged. I will use myself as an example. Coming into politics was not an easy thing because the kind of harsh words that the men use against we women in politics especially is something that will not motivate someone to even try to contest. So sometimes it's not because of, yes, they say politics is a dirty game, but I don't think we need dirty people to do politics. So we need people that can do the work, not dirty people, no. I hate to hear that word, politics is a dirty game. It shouldn't be a dirty game. Like I said earlier, we need clean and neat people to do the work. So the words that they use against us as women because we want to do politics, we are pleading. It shouldn't be because of politics. Someone will use some words that I wouldn't like to repeat on here right now. So we are pleading. Let us do the right things, support ourselves as women especially. We should hold ourselves hand by hand and then rise to the position that we are expected to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, minority bench.
Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity, and let me commend highly the maker of this statement. Speaker, coincidentally, yesterday was also International Women's Day. So I would also take this opportunity to wish each and every woman who is in this chamber, in this hallowed chamber, who is a practitioner, whether legal practitioner, media practitioner, politician, a mother, a queen mother, a sister, a wife. I wish them all a happy International Women's Day. Speaker, I have largely been nurtured and supported by my grandmother, who is no more. And I've always found myself to understand that women have always been extremely supportive and hardworking anytime they intend to do something. They've always had the capacity to undertake every step they commit to, unless or until they are not willing to do so. Speaker, but when we are talking about issues of gender, there is also the need for them to understand that times have changed. There is progress in this world and in this on this universe. That the way and manner we used to think about things are not the same. We've also heard we've gone to Beijing and come back and gone to some other places and come back with a lot of understanding that what the man can do, women can do better. In fact, sometimes they say best. So there should always be the platform for equality. there should also be the platform also for equity. In every step, women are largely ahead with how they even manage our homes. Because when you have a wife who you are so sure of that you can go home and go home peacefully, then you are comfortable as a man in performing other very important functions that are not just assigned to you, but are your responsibilities, including even coming to this chamber to make laws, including contesting elections. So, Speaker, the conversation that some should be automatic, women should be given the opportunity, for instance, to contest because they are women. I think we are going beyond that. You need to work for it, and they are working for it. You need to compete and win, and they are competing and winning. There are women who have beaten men in competitions. There are women who, just like she rightly said, we have the vice president who is a woman. So we must not come to the table and act like, with all deference, women are not in the position to do better. They are. They should be supported. They should be funded if there need be. And they should not be given all manner of ill names that would actually discourage them. The maker of the statement is doing better. She's gone and she's come. And any other woman who has the capacity to do better can also be the president of the republic. So all we can do is rather to encourage you, pray with you, advise you, support you, and compete, because we are largely co-equals. So there is nobody who is bigger in these shoes. So let me once again congratulate you, all the women, especially in Parliament. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate my very supportive and hardworking wife, and my mother. My mother, Prof, my wife is hardworking. Roxanne will tell you. And my mother, who has always been very supportive, because we've also had instances that some women have become mothers and fathers. So when you have a woman who has become a mother and a father, you also need to support her and congratulate her and commend her. Some of the women in the constituencies who are MPs have also become mothers and fathers. They are taking care of a lot of young men and women. They are doing the jobs of men and women. They all need to be highly commended and congratulated. So I wish all of us well, and I thank you very much for this opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, majority. You are yielding to who? Yes, Honorable Bid Azidi. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Right, Honorable Speaker. Except that you should delete the A from my name. My name still remains Zidane. And let me commend my colleague, Honorable Felicia Ajay, for bringing up this matter. The truth of the matter is that, Mr. Speaker, I have been an advocate of women empowerment and the promotion of gender equity in governance. And I have been so more than a decade. And the battle has been on. Some progress has been achieved through the affirmative action law, but that is still not enough. Because in terms of legislative participation, the Affirmative Action Act does not adequately address it. And I think that we still have a huge gap. And that's why even in this chamber, you see the gender, the women, they are very few in this chamber. I think that the best, of course, we have used other ways to address this inequality. But I think that in terms of our electoral system, the only way we can address this problem is to adopt the proportional representation. And that is what Rwanda has done. And they have been able to achieve a percentage of over 60% in terms of female representation. And they have done so using a combination of systems. They have used the proportional representation system, and that proportional representation system, every political party is allowed to fill its females, and then you are allocated the seats on the basis of the votes that you receive. So it is much easier for women to get included in the list of parliamentarians at the end of the general election. For instance, Mr. Speaker, in the Upper West region, since we started this exercise in 1992, we have had the opportunity to have only one woman parliamentarian, and it is always the men. Indeed, I'm aware of a lot of women who would do well in parliament, and yet, because of the system that we are applying, first past the post, they are unable to come to parliament. Mr. Speaker, if you go outside the educational system, in the past, we had very few girls in school. And we came up with a system which said that we should support the girl child. Mr. Speaker, today, if you go to all our educational institutions, virtually the girls are more than the boys. Virtually the girls are more than the boys because of the system that we have adopted. So we have to change our system, which will be fairer. This electoral system that we have is not fair to the women. And so we have to change the electoral system. And I think that that is by the legislation. If we do so, then we can accommodate more women in our legislative practice. And I think that the time is now. And I will support the call by my colleague, Member of Parliament for Kintampo South, so that we can reform our electoral system. Currently, it is the system, the electoral system, which is the obstacle to the participation of women in the legislative arm of government. Mr. Speaker, with these few remarks, I want to support the call for the reforms and thank my colleague for bringing up the matter. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Bid Sidi. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of that statement. We have the next statement standing in the name of Davis Ansa Opoku, Member of Parliament for Mbraiso. Honourable members, in his absence, I will direct that the statement be published in the Hansard. Whilst I give the floor to Honorable Mrs. Phyllis Na Koyo Okuno, Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senya East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, distinguished members of Parliament, fellow Ghanaians, I rise today on behalf of the people of Ewutu Senya East Constituency, Katwa, particularly its mothers and children, to draw this August House's urgent attention to a public health milestone that has the potential to transform destinies of our nation. Mr. Speaker, Ghana stands at the forefront of one of the most remarkable public health achievements of the early 21st century, the drastic reduction in child mortality through the introduction of a new malaria vaccines, a breakthrough many of our constituents believed they would never live to see. Mr. Speaker, in countries like Ghana, these new vaccines have contributed to an extraordinary decline in child's death. Official figures reveal those deaths among children below 5 plummeted by nearly 86% as at 2 years ago from 2018, a testament to the power of preventive immunization against one of the oldest scourges of our continent. Mr. Speaker, this is not abstract data. These are lives saved. The laughter of children now walking to school, the relief of parents' faces, knowing a healthy tomorrow is possible. The economic benefit of our families, not grieving the death of an innocent child, is real. This is a real progress. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, this progress, however, is under threat. Despite these gains, international support, particularly from major donors, is being scaled back. Funding cuts to critical global health alliance that supports malaria vaccinations, including reductions in contributions to Gavi. The Vaccine Alliance could result in thousands of preventable child death under 5 and pregnant women in countries like Ghana, who depend on the support. Mr. Speaker, in the face of unwavering international support, I submit these two critical calls to action. 1, increasing domestic financing for malaria vaccinations program to reduce our dependence on volatile external fundings. And 2, to strengthen vaccines logistics and cold chain systems, especially in rural and hard-to-reach communities, so no child is left behind because of geography. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members, today we honor the courage of Ghanaian mothers who bring their children to clinics, the dedication of our nurses and health workers, and the vision of global health partners. But we cannot stand complacent while the foundation of this progress wobble. Mr. Speaker, let us be a parliament that ensures the gains against malaria did not slip away. Let us be known as leaders who delivered healthy security for Ghana's children. Let our actions be the legacy Ghana's parents and their children can look back on with pride. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank all the honorable members for the audience. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. May God bless our motherland, Ghana.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, honorable member, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to the statement made by the honorable member. Malaria, as we all know, is one of the killer diseases that we have in Africa and Ghana. And the whole essence of vaccination is to ensure that people build immunity against future infections. Right, Honorable Speaker, Ghana is gradually shifting from malaria control to malaria elimination. And the aim is to reduce deaths by malaria by 90% and also reduce its case incidence by about 50%. And this Ghana is doing through what we call the National Malaria Strategic Elimination Program between 2024 and 2028. Key strategies that are used here include enhanced surveillance, the widespread use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets, indoor residual spraying, larval source management, and then the seasonal malaria chemoprevention. As part of the vaccines, 2 key vaccines are used in Ghana currently. From 2019, we're using the vaccine known as the RTSS ASAS01, but currently we are using the vaccine known as the R21 matrix. And that one, usually we use it in malaria endemic areas. And what is the protocol we are using as a country? We are saying that
every child under the age of 5 should get about 4 doses, starting from 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, and 18 months. And with this, what we have achieved so far is that we have been able to reduce our inpatient malaria mortality from 428 in 2018 to 115 in 2022. We have also been able to cut the parasite prevalence rate in children under 5 from 14% in 2014 to about, from 20.6% in 2014 to about 14% in 2022. We all know that our international partners like Gavi and the Vaccine Alliance, because of what is happening in the US, etc., they are shifting out of the country. But the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, if we're listening carefully to the president when he presented the State of the Nation address, he made it clear that the government was allocating $50 million in the area of vaccine production within Ghana. That one was to provide vaccines for our children and also to increase local content and provide employment. Mr. Speaker, if we cast our minds back somewhere around 2022 to 2023, children in Ghana, children in Mother Ghana, Ghana which is 69 years, could not get key vaccines like BCG, like measles. But thankfully now, that situation is a thing of the past. Mr. Speaker, as Gavi is leaving, and as government has put in place this money, it is my belief that malaria, which used to be the #1 killer, if you had gone through our hospitals, they will tell you malaria is the #1 killer. But for now, through the intervention of government and through the use of the 3 T's, which are you treat, you test, you treat, and you track. Most of our hospitals now are reducing lower incidence of malaria, and our children who used to die, especially those under 5, they are living much longer. So, Mr. Speaker, with these few words, thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful.
Minority Leadership. Yes, Majority Leadership.
Speaker, let me commend the member for bringing this matter to national attention. Speaker, just a couple of months ago, we passed the National Vaccines Authority Bill to law, and it's been established. Speaker, if you consider the work that new entity has done, led by Dr. Suji Tete, very, very profound. So I've been wondering why did it take us so long to establish the National Vaccine Institute? But yes, I'm saying that it took us so long to do it. And being such a young entity, they are doing big things. And so it's such a big boost to local production of such critical vaccines for ailments that have afflicted us for centuries, I should say, especially malaria. So it's a very good thing that is brought to attention. I believe that in their programs, they will pay attention to the issues that she raised in her statement, so that in funding, entities that will benefit from it can actually utilize them for the benefits of the health industry. Speaker, what we are also saying that they shouldn't centralize some of these programs. They should go to the regions and establish them, because the centralization is not helping. We have a lot of regional hospitals that are still reeling from the inadequacies of such facilities. So, as a member, I'll pray that the health committee pays attention. I saw some of the members on the floor. I saw the chairman a while ago. They pay attention to some of these things, so that in their regional rounds, they can pay critical attention to how these are developing in the districts and the regions. Speaker, with these words, I thank the member for bringing this matter to attention. Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of that statement. We then move to statement numbered H, standing in the name of Lawrence Ajinsam.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a statement
on the importance of connecting entrepreneurs in the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises landscape in Ghana. This was a commemorative statement last year, but it is finding its place now. This day presents an opportunity to raise the awareness of the importance of entrepreneurs in the Ghanaian economy and take actionable steps toward building a sustainable MSME outlook in Ghana. In Ghana, the informal sector of the economy is clothed in numerous MSMEs where massive economic activities are performed. However, the transformative capacity of the MSMEs has for a long period been ignored. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I want to highlight Ghana's MSME statistical background. Ghana has about 1.9 million business establishments. Out of this, a total of 1.7 million are micro-sized enterprises, of which 464,100, which represent 27.3%, was recorded in the Ashanti region. In the Greater Accra region, there was a record of 379,100, representing 22.3%, whereas the remaining 14 regions cumulatively recorded 857,800 MSMEs, which represent 50.4%. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to know that these businesses operate with approximately 1 to 5 employees and mostly lack the motivation to innovate. Mr. Speaker, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, approximately 70% of Ghana's GDP is attributed to the economic activities of MSMEs, whereas the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, emphasizes that these enterprises have been pivotal across various sectors of the Ghanaian economy, accounting for over 90% of businesses, which spans from agriculture, manufacturing, services, and trade. In the employment sector, Mr. Speaker, MSMEs have a share of about 80% of Ghana's labor force. Specifically, they account for about 85% of employment within the manufacturing sector, highlighting their significance in job creation and industrial development, as well as economic development. This brings me to the focus of today's discussion, the entrepreneurs. Mr. Speaker, the entrepreneurs in Ghana, who are hypothetically the brains of engine behind SME, drive an often neglected in terms of access to capital, that is finance and innovation. In emerging and developing economies, the International Trade Center, ITC, estimates that SME's financing gap as of 2020 was estimated as 19%, equivalent to 5.7 trillion. Nearly 70% of SMEs do not have access to funds from financial institutions, while additional 15% are underfinanced. As a result, many SMEs rely on less than ideal resources, such as internal funds or informal sources like family and friends to sustain their operation. In Ghana, most businesses shut down due to inadequate capitalization and access, especially for women. According to International Trade Center data, 45% of women-managed businesses face financial constraints, compared to 27% of men-managed businesses. Globally, over 1 million women do not use or lack access to formal financial systems. This has led to financing gap for formal women-owned small businesses of 1.9 trillion. This is why government must increase the funds allocated to Women Development Bank to fast-track its establishment. The idea of Women's Development Bank is commendable, and this can be used as a policy tool to connect women entrepreneurs. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, savings groups and cooperatives must be incentivized to formalize their services to extend access to capital to budding entrepreneurs, especially women in rural communities such as my constituency, which is the home to one of Ghana's famous tourist sites, the Kakum National Park. Mr. Speaker, on this note, kindly indulge me to plead with entrepreneurs to visit Emmanuel Dencha constituency, a constituency which is ripe with business opportunities such as oil palm plantation and processing, as well as rubber production and processing. Mr. Speaker, launching a national campaign on MSME academies and boot camps through Ghana Enterprise Agency, GA, and National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, NEIP, is another policy initiative to consider. The campaign will see the affordability of finance by expanding the range of financing instruments beyond traditional banks, loans, and leverage digital technologies to reduce costs and expand outreach, and incentivize public-private synergies to de-risk and expand SME funding. Digital transformation cannot be ignored when discussing measures to connect entrepreneurs in Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker? Digital technologies are pivotal for boosting MSME performance. For instance, e-commerce platforms can help companies to reduce search information costs, making it faster, easier, and cheaper to connect with buyers. These platforms have the capacity to connect businesses to foreign countries, which will allow them to sell beyond domestic markets. Mr. Speaker, digital transformation in Ghana must be a shared responsibility. As such, I propose some actions that can drive progress. There is the need for increased affordability. This can be achieved through encouraging public and private investment in broadband expansion, reducing the cost of internet connectivity, and enabling access to data processing infrastructure. There is also the need to close the skills gap. This can be done by integrating digital skills in education and training through establishing more STEM schools, which the previous administration had already started, and foster digital talent mobility. In concluding, Mr. Speaker, Ghana can become the entrepreneurial hub of Africa when Ghanaian entrepreneurs and businesses are given the right support by bringing them together on a common pedestal where innovation, productivity, and healthy competition is the trademark. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to these issues. Thank you.
Honourable members, that's the statement. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the maker of the statement, Honorable Jensen, for such a beautiful work. Mr. Speaker, I think this couldn't have come at a better time. And we had a celebration of the Ghanaian entrepreneur, how they matter or why they matter. I think that the importance of the entrepreneur in the micro SME sector cannot be overemphasized. And without repeating some of the things that my colleague has already enumerated for us, it is important for us to remember that these set of people, they drive 80% of employment. The much talk about unemployment situation. These are the people who drive over 80% of it and also 70% of GDP. And they cover a wide range of economic activities, from baking to food making to selling of cosmetics, etc., etc. And these people, entrepreneurs who operate in the micro SME sector, they adapt very fast to local needs. You go to a funeral and all the major economic activities you see around are controlled by these people. Call it selling of funeral paraphernalia or food or any other thing that will make people feel good at such functions. Now, these people also turn informal trade into registered businesses. So they form actually the starting point of our businesses in Ghana. And this, for me, is the importance why these people must be celebrated. Now, 4 things which actually also was espoused by the maker of the statement, which I risk to emphasize, is that the easier and cheaper financing, for me, is the most important thing that will make this sector grow. And how this can be carried out to the doorstep of the entrepreneur is what we need to actually emphasize as a nation. And I was happy to hear from the statement that the issue of Women's Development Bank, which has been so well established in all the documents that have been placed before Parliament, as coming from the ruling government as one of the things that will be done to boost the micro SME sector, would come into being. What we also need to remember is actually sharpening of the practical skills of these people. It's so important as a way of boosting the sector. I must also add that how we make regulation or how we make formalizing of this informal sector possible and better, or how we make it easier for them to formalize their informal trade, it's so important. So I wish to thank the maker of the statement that such brilliant ideas have been exposed on the floor of Parliament at such a time that we are actually preparing to take off as a nation as far as business is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Indulge me to take 2 minutes suspension. The House is suspended for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, continuation of the comment. Yes, Honorable Stephen Amwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this prestigious opportunity. First, I would like to commend my honorable member who actually presented this very important statement. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to SMEs issues in Ghana, I think it is time we give it the needed attention as a country and priority in terms of our state policies, especially when we're trying to find a long-term solution to dealing with the consolidation of our fiscal space. I'm saying this because, as stated here, SMEs plays very important role in our ecosystem as a country. However, there are so many challenges confronting SMEs actors in our country today, contributing to the sinusoidal performance of our economy and our inability to be fully independent as a sovereignty. There are two main extracts in the statement that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to concentrate on. One, capitalization, and two, consolidating the various SMEs dimensions in our country. Mr. Speaker, it looks as if we are not leveraging our advantage and opportunity as a country. I'm saying this because there seems to be a very big gap between the opportunities according or opportunities that we accord large-scale corporate bodies and these SMEs in our country. And if we can realize this and do something about it as a country, it will go a long way to help us attain the long-term economic growth and stability that have been so much challenging to us as a country. Mr. Speaker, SMEs in Ghana, when it comes to the cost of even borrowing, it is not comparable to most of their colleagues within the West Africa sovereignty. Some of them, the rate is beyond 45% and some 50%. And even access to them is a problem. Inadequate funds on our market, simply because of the risk factors that we actually find them always kind of position themselves with. So, Mr. Speaker, if we can connect them as the maker of this statement is concerned, first, as a country, we need to accord SMEs the needed opportunity to, one, have adequate funds, two, to have funds that come with less cost that can be competitive enough. Mr. Speaker, some of these things do not even attract investors. They seem to be getting closer to our neighboring countries because of some of these opportunities. Two, actors of even this very segment of our socio-economic framework, most of them are not experienced. So even sometimes when you give them funds, the money goes bad. They can't even pay back because they don't even have people who have the requisite know-how. And Mr. Speaker, don't let us forget the fact that one of the key functions of performance is ability. So you can even give them the funds without the appropriate orientation and training. The monies given to them will go bad. And the sustainability of SMEs in our country can never be realized. Two, or three, Mr. Speaker, even within government-owned sector, whether government A or B, we've come to realize that we have a lot of, I would say, institutions or bodies positioning themselves in a way to capitalize these SMEs. I think there are too many. We found out with the previous government, and we are still finding that with this government. Can we sit down and try to consolidate the effort of these state-owned institutions that are capitalizing these SMEs? Even Maslow can be made like GCB in Ghana, but solely for the SMEs, and it has to be properly run. CEOs cannot be appointed.
Honourable member, your time is up. That's why the microphone went off. Yes. Yes. Minority leadership.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the maker of the statement, Honorable Ajinsem, MP for Lower Himandentra, on virtually connecting entrepreneurs to SMEs within the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises landscape in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, just going through the statement, there are a few revelations. One is that when you're talking about micro, it talks about 1 to about 5 people who are supposed to be employed within a certain setup. And then you come down to talk about the small, then you're looking about between 6 to 30. And then when you're talking about medium, it's about 31 to 100. Mr. Speaker, what this generally does is that it tells us that SMEs provide a lot of employment. So employment from SMEs alone is not less than 90% within the Ghanaian landscape. And so what are we doing to keep them active and to keep them operational? Second, Mr. Speaker, when you come down, you would also realize that most SMEs lack very basic support, especially with reference to financial support. Mr. Speaker, because they do not have the wherewithal to even be able to access basic loans to work. So when it comes to SMEs, going for loans, the kind of guarantees that are, the kind of requests or facilities they look for, and the guarantees that they are expected to provide, is sometimes very unconscionable. It's so harsh that they are unable to meet so same, Mr. Speaker. And so my request would rather be that we should be thinking of how best the government can put in structures that would make them access loans without the kind of harsh restrictions or restraints that they find to secure such facilities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the commendation to the government would have come in if the government had even considered fast-tracking the Women's Bank. Because if the Women's Bank were to be active today, most SMEs would have gone through the Women's Bank, especially the women, in order to aid them. Because one of the contributors even made the point that most of these people are found to be in baking, they are selling, the very basic things. But Mr. Speaker, they are not even getting the monies to do so. And if we are able to improve upon such, Mr. Speaker, that would help a lot of problems will be taken care of, a lot of problems will be solved. Mr. Speaker, another challenge they face is high interest rates from the banks. Most SMEs are unable to pay the kind of interest that they are requested to. So when they go in, they take the monies, and then the next thing is that they vanish into thin air. You cannot find them again. And why is that? Because even data on them is also a problem. Because we are also aware that people even take facilities from Momo accounts. And the next thing they are able to do is to throw the SIM card away because they are unable to pay. But when all of these are properly captured in a digitalized or, and the data is well captured, we are sure that people who would even go for such facilities would be emboldened to use them for the purposes for which they went for, and they can pay back and expand employment and business. Mr. Speaker, I think that if we should look more at some of these things, poor infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, in recent times, yesterday, I was in my home at my constituency. Whilst discussing constituency matters, obviously that has no correlation with SME, the lights went off. And when you are looking at the issue of poor infrastructure, you are looking at electricity, which is also tabled. Where there is consistency in supply of electricity, Mr. Speaker, businesses are able to do their business, especially those ones who are dealing with the provision of cold store facilities or storage facilities. So, Mr. Speaker, that is another thing we should look at. And then the kind of technical skills some of.
Yes, majority bench. Yes, majority bench.
Speaker, let me commend. Oh, please.
Please, majority side, you have the floor.
Speaker, let me commend my brother Jinsem for this very good statement. Speaker, I won't belabor some of the points raised by my other colleagues. Speaker, one of the key problems adversely affecting SMEs in obtaining easy facilities include improper records. Speaker, it's such a big problem. They don't even keep proper books of accounts. And it's replete in some of the academic studies that have been done. So, as a people, we need to gradually move towards keeping proper books of accounts, also registering the entities with the Registrar General. Speaker, if you recall, during the COVID-19 era where businesses and entities were supposed to benefit from the COVID package, record keeping became a problem. That is why the Auditor General found for a fact that some of those windfall packages had to be paid from the tabletop cash because entities were not registered. They didn't have any records. They cannot even account for monies that they gave to the people. And again, when they take the facilities, people decide to go do other things for the purpose for which the funds are given. You are given a stimulus package. You decide to go and develop your home. And there's poor accountability. So, in as much as we are trying to draw attention to the problems they face and how government can intervene, the SMEs themselves, the penchant to always make the SMEs a sole proprietorship. It's a one-man business. The person decides the fate of the business. We should move away from that into proper record keeping. You can be a sole proprietorship, but where your records are properly kept and you are properly registered, some of these packages that government rolls out can come your way. Speaker, I believe that the trade, these days I'm interested in where some of these poignant statements are made. The relevant committees should be paying attention and taking note of the issues so that in their programs of activities where they go around or they exercise oversight, they can pay attention and bring about reforms. Because legislation is not always the only way to ensure that reforms come about in some of these sectors. When members also make statements, when they ask questions, they are all parts of tools that are available to us to ensure that we bring reform. So the Committee on Trade should pay attention to the issues the members raise as well as contained in the statement for their attention. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity.
All members, that brings us to the end of the statement under reference. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Dixon Chire Duya, Member of Parliament for Brakum West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to make this urgent statement on the need for all stakeholders to commit to methane reduction and mitigation measures as a quick solution to address climate change. Mr. Speaker, following my participation in the methane session of the Inter-Parliamentary Union's parliamentary meeting at COP30 in Brazil last year, I rise to make this profound statement on the urgent need for all stakeholders to commit to methane reduction and mitigation measures, which are among the quickest ways to combat climate change. Mr. Speaker, as the world grapples with the escalating impacts of climate change, methane reduction has emerged as one of the most cost-effective and fastest ways to slow global warming. Methane is a harmful greenhouse gas that heats the earth more than 80 times as much as carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. It accounts for about 30% of the global temperature rise since the pre-industrial era. Methane is the second largest contributor to climate change after carbon dioxide, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, methane is a global issue with local consequences. When released into the atmosphere, it reacts with other gases to form ground-level ozone, a toxic air pollutant that causes about 1 million premature deaths globally each year. It harms food systems by reducing food yields of essential staples like rice, wheat, soya by 5 to 10% each year, thereby threatening global food security. Mr. Speaker, anthropogenic activities, that is human activities, account for 60% of global methane emissions. Agriculture is the largest emitter, 40%, with energy sources such as fossil fuels accounting for 35%, waste management 20%, and the other sources account for a meager 5%. Mr. Speaker, unlike the carbon dioxide, methane stays in the atmosphere for just only a decade, meaning that cutting methane emissions now can deliver rapid, tangible, and health benefits within our lifetimes. Mr. Speaker, under the distinguished leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker of this Parliament, Honorable Arman Babin, Ghana has demonstrated strong political commitment to climate action through active collaboration with the Inter-Parliamentary Union. This partnership continues to build the capacity of members of Parliament by providing opportunities to participate in the Global Methane Project, which seeks to strengthen parliamentary engagement in the development and oversight of methane reduction policies. Mr. Speaker, in October last year, the Right Honorable Speaker Babin officially launched a strategic partnership with the IPU under the project titled Enhancing Parliamentary Action on Climate Change, Strengthening the Role of Parliament in Reducing Methane Emission. Mr. Speaker, with the support of the IPU, the Right Honorable Speaker organized a 3-day workshop and a site visit to rice farms in the eastern region of Ghana to engage farmers on the modern farming practices to tackle methane emissions effectively. Mr. Speaker, Parliament has the power to turn commitments into tangible outcomes through laws, through budgets, and oversight. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, I would like to suggest that this Honorable House take a more proactive role in the national methane reduction agenda in the following areas. 1, budgetary consideration and resource allocation. Mr. Speaker, I recall that at the launch of the strategic partnership with IPU last year, the Right Honorable Speaker urged the Budget Committee of this House to allocate substantial funds for climate action, especially those aimed at methane reduction. We have a responsibility as members of Parliament to ensure that ministries, agencies, and parliamentary committees are adequately funded to deliver our methane mandate. 2, legislative and policy review. Mr. Speaker, Parliament should consider opportunities to review and strengthen existing environmental, agricultural, energy, and waste management laws and policies, and include clear methane reduction measures. 3, stimulating national debate and citizens' participation. Mr. Speaker, members of this House should promote national awareness and encourage citizens' participation in methane reduction and mitigation efforts through statements, debates, and motions in this chamber. 4, Mr. Speaker, I suggest that the Committee on Environment, Science and Technology should hold annual progress hearings on Ghana's methane reduction efforts by inviting relevant ministries and agencies to report on milestones and challenges they are facing. This will enhance transparency and accountability while maintaining political momentum. Mr. Speaker, the task before us is clear. It is time to move from commitment to action, from pledges to tangible results. Ghana's partnership with the IPU and other allies on the methane project shows clearly that parliamentary leadership can make a significant difference, not only in formulating policies, but also in holding climate promises to account. Mr. Speaker, by reducing methane emissions, we improve air quality, safeguard farmers, boost energy efficiency, and protect public health. It is therefore both a climate necessity and a moral duty. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me.
Honourable members, that's the statement ably made. Yes, Honourable Ako Nukwe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to what I consider a very crucial statement, ably made by my colleague and friend. Right Honourable Speaker, climate change is real. Me, myself, coming from Evalojua, a coastal boy and coastal man in Axim, Honourable Speaker, the effect of climate change, the rise of tidal wave, the destruction it causes from Axim all the way to Ketha is a real evidence that climate action is something that cannot be kicked over the line. But what is more revealing is that all this while, Right Honourable Speaker, the threat has been on carbon dioxide. Climate change has been centered on carbon dioxide, that it is one of the most dangerous components. But today, it's insightful to learn that methane is rather 80 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. And that is why I want to join in commending the Right Honourable Speaker in his own wisdom, after understanding and appreciate the threat of methane, to push for an awareness on the need of this country to battle it. Right Honourable Speaker, I was at the workshop, and it was amazing to learn that even the waste, open waste, And we know how many constituencies and as a country, how we are confronted with waste management. And it is that the emission from waste, it's just serious. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say that as a nation, I believe we started. It is not a one-day event, a process, but we must, as my colleague suggested, attach more seriousness, more commitment to it. Because if we lose this fight, we, those in the sub-Saharan, the poor nations on this globe, we suffer more. We bear the brunt, the severest of brunt when it comes to climate action and climate consequences. So I want to commend my colleague once again, and I believe that I will add weight on his call, and as a nation, we cannot fail. We must fight this fight and put all the resources that is needed to ensure that we save this climate, this world, not for only ourselves, but the future generations. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Stephen Amo.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to, first I would like to commend the maker of the statement because of its critical importance. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Not only because of us as a country, but because of our continent and the globe. What is prevailing today is an indicative of the fact that as a sovereignty, we need to begin a new task of approaching this whole climate change, designing a new paradigm shift, because we think we are not feeling it tangibly. I see something different because once it happens in Africa, the probability that it's getting to us is extremely high enough for us to accord it the needed concentration. Mr. Speaker, there are countries in Africa that because of climate change, there is an increased migration. They are leaving the country. They are closing schools because temperature went as high as 45%, Sudan and other parts of the world. It's affecting food, it's affecting water, it's affecting livelihood, and it's deteriorating their economies. And I think we cannot run away from them. Mr. Speaker, allow me to use this local dialect by speaking my language or dialect. Yasi who said, "Ensure she obi abojisa na wafa calabash na di ensure gunado di atu." Mr. Speaker, we are not far from the consequences our brothers from other parts of our continent are being confronted with. We need to put in place contingency measures. Because of time constraints, Mr. Speaker, I would like to suggest only one thing: research. We need to prioritize our research into some of these areas. Mr. Speaker, if you read, I think, Act 1056, which stipulates the fact that about 0.5% of our annual revenue budget has to go into research and development. I think the makers of that law had in mind some of these crucial or critical issues to be dealt with. However, I wonder if we as a country, whether party, government A or B, we actually adhere to this. If not, I would like to, based on this statement, very important statement, admonish the present authority to make sure that going forward, at least 0.5% of our revenue that we actually put in our budget goes into research and development, and substantial amount of this proportion must go into the areas that we can actually attain the requisite knowledge when it comes to climate change, so we can continue to put in place measures and contingencies and then policies or policy frameworks that will really put us in a position that will not be found wanting one day. I think just as the whole world is battling this, we as a country and as a sovereignty, being part of this whole global domain, should take it very serious. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that we need to continue as a House, accord climate change as one of the important issues that in this House, we need to continue to work on that and make sure that, we wouldn't one day get into that situation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Stephen Amo, except that there was in Twi that has not been translated into English is hereby ordered to be expunged from the record.
Yes, well, can I then explain
minority leadership.
Speaker, I don't know if else I will yield, but if not.
Well, majority leadership.
Yes, well, can I translate my words? If I can have the opportunity.
We passed through that stage. It's now majorities tend to.
Oh, he is my brother.
No, you should be observing the rules. The rule says official language is English.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Speaker.
Yeah.
I yield to the Honorable Dr. Halik on this.
Yes, Honorable Doctor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to associate myself with the statement made by my colleague. Right Honorable Speaker, if you look at the issues of climate change and the greenhouse gases, like they said initially, most of the time we have just been looking at carbon dioxide, but there are other gases within the atmosphere that contributes to the greenhouse effect. That includes nitrous oxide, methane, even water vapor is part of the contribution. The issues of climate change goes beyond just what we see. If you look generally in the world, we now have issues of climate change related to gender. We have issues of climate change related to conflict, etc., etc. But let's come back home to Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, Africa contributes just about 4% to greenhouse emission, even though we house just about 17% of the world population. But the effect and impact of global warming, it felt immensely in Africa, where we have rising sunshine, rising heat, melting of the ice block, flooding, tsunamis, etc. Through all these ones, Mr. Speaker, in 2000 alone, Africa's emission was about 0.8 metric tons per compound, as compared to 3.9 that is done worldwide. This still tells you how little we contribute to greenhouse effect. But what happens? At the end of the day, when Africa goes out to the world to ask for mitigation effect, to ask for aid, the feeling we get as Africans is that we have come cup in hand. But I think it's just legitimate that the continent that does less but feels more effect, the rest of the world should be able to cushion us. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is estimated that Africa loses about $7 to $15 billion each year to climate change. And it's estimated that this amount is going to go up to as much as $30 billion by 2030. So this makes this issue of climate change very, very critical. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm just from Tamale. In the past 2 days, temperatures are rising between 39 and 40 degrees. People are fasting in the northern region. People are dehydrating. People's kidneys are getting a shot. In the next few years, Right Honorable Speaker, we are going to feel that effect of that climate change on the health of the people of the northern region, on the health of the ordinary Ghanaian. So what we are saying is that this issue of climate change is very, very, very critical. You and I, this House, the entirety of Ghanaians, we need to contribute to make sure that we are reducing our effect on the greenhouse emission. What can we do as a country? Worldwide, the issue of carbon credits is coming up, where countries, etc., are giving aid depending on how they are cutting on carbon emission. The other thing we can do, Mr. Speaker, look around our communities, look around Ghana. We are cutting down trees to put up high-rise buildings. We are cutting down even trees along water bodies, etc. At the end of the day, we create climate change problems. At the end of the day, we have our fellows from Niger, from Senegal. They are walking upon our streets. Sometimes we are not happy to see them. But you know why they are here, Mr. Speaker? The issue of climate change. There's drought in Senegal. There's drought in Cameroon. There's drought in that area. What do the people have to do? They would rather move towards where they can have self-sufficiency. So, Right Honorable Speaker, like my colleague said, it's a very serious issue. This House must take it very seriously. If not, at the end of the day, we are going to spend so much of the money that we do not have to solve the problems of climate change. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Honourable members, that statement has also ended. We will take statement numbered K, standing in the name of Honourable Solomon Kuyong, Member of Parliament for Krachi, Jumuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make a statement on the importance or the agent for a national youth development fund. Right Honorable Speaker, I am grateful for the opportunity to make this important statement on the floor of this august House. Mr. Speaker, I rise today not to speak of problems, but of potential. I rise to speak of our nation's greatest and most abundant resource, the energy, the ambition, and the boundless imagination of the Ghanaian youth. From the fishing community along the Volta Lake, my constituency of Krachi and Chumbru, to the bustling tech hubs of Accra, there is a generation of young people who are not waiting for the future. They are ready to build it themselves. But, Mr. Speaker, readiness is not enough. Ambition must be met with opportunity. A dream, no matter how brilliant, cannot take flight without the wing of capital beneath its wings. The reality in Krachi and Chumbru, as it is in countless constituencies across our nation, is that we have a generation of talent that is being held back by a single formidable barrier, the lack of accessible, patient, and empowering finance. We have young graduates with innovative agribusiness ideas who cannot afford their first piece of land. We have brilliant young women who have mastered a trade but cannot afford the tools to start their own workshop. We have tech-savvy youth with world-changing app ideas who have no path to seed funding. We have in essence, a national engine of innovation that is idling, waiting for the fuel to ignite it. Mr. Speaker, this is not a critique of any single government or policy. It is a recognition of a structural gap in our national development architecture. For too long, our approach to youth empowerment has been a patchwork of short-term programs and temporary interventions. While well-intentioned, these initiatives often lack the scale, the sustainability, and the long-term vision required to address a challenge of this magnitude. They provide temporary relief, but they do not build permanent pathways to prosperity. The time has come for a bolder, more permanent vision. That is why I stand here today to propose the establishment of a national youth development fund. This will not be just another government program subject to the shifting priorities of annual budgets. I envision a dedicated, professionally managed, and politically independent national endowment established by an act of this Parliament, a fund that is insulated from the vagaries of political cycles, with a governance structure that commands the confidence of the private sector, our development partners, and most importantly, the young people it is designed to serve. This fund must operate not as a handout, but as a strategic long-term investment in the future economic and social architecture of Ghana. This mission of this fund will be clear and focused to provide the critical missing link between youthful ambition and economic reality. It will be built on 3 core pillars, each designed to address a specific stage of the youth economic journey. Pillar 1, seed capital for youth startups. This is the foundational pillar. It will provide macro grants, low interest, concessionary loans to young entrepreneurs aged 18 to 35, enabling them to launch their first business ventures. This is for the young woman in Chendere who needs a new oven for her bakery, the young man in Ketikrachi who needs to buy his own fishing nets, or the graduate in Accra who needs to purchase a laptop to start a graphic design business. This pillar is about democratizing the opportunity to try to innovate and to take that first crucial step towards self-reliance. Pillar 2, scale up financing for growth. The second pillar is about identifying and nurturing success. The fund will provide a second tier of financing, venture capital, and growth loans for promising youth-led small and medium-sized enterprises that have demonstrated viability and have the potential to scale. The goal here is not just to create self-employment, but to create employers. We must invest in the young entrepreneurs who can grow their businesses from 2 employees to 10, from 10 to 50, creating a powerful multiplier effect on job creation across the country. Pillar 3, skills and innovation grants. The third pillar recognizes that capital alone is not enough. The fund will provide dedicated grants to support modern apprenticeships, market-relevant vocational training, and the establishment of innovation and technology hubs in every region of Ghana. This ensures that the skills we are teaching our youth are directly linked to the demands of the 21st century economy. It will support the master craftsmen who are passing on their knowledge and fund the co-working spaces where the next generation of Ghanaian tech innovators can collaborate and create tech innovations and collaborate and create. Mr. Speaker, this is not a partisan issue. The challenge of youth unemployment does not wear the colors of the NDC or the MPP. It is a national challenge that demands a national consensus. The aspirations of a young person in my constituency are no different from the aspirations of a young person in any other. I therefore call on the leadership of this House to form a bipartisan working group, drawing members from both sides of the aisles to begin the urgent work of drafting the enabling legislation that will bring this fund to life. Let us work together to design a sustainable funding mechanism. Let us explore, for instance, a small dedicated levy on the profits of our extractive or telecommunications sectors, industries that benefit immensely from our national resources and our national markets. Let us create a framework that attracts contributions from our international development partners and encourages corporate social responsibility investment from the private sector. And let us back this with a dedicated multi-year budgetary allocation from the state to build an endowment that will serve generations of Ghanaians yet to come. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by speaking directly to the young people of Karachi, Nchumbru, and indeed all of Ghana. We see your potential. We hear your aspirations, and we understand that your success is inextricably linked to the success of our nation. You are not leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders of today, waiting for the tools to build a better Ghana. Investing in you is the single greatest economic decision we can make. It is how we transform our demographic dividend from a potential risk into a historic opportunity. It is how we build a more inclusive, more prosperous, and more resilient nation from the ground up. Let this 9th Parliament be remembered not for its division, but for its unity of purpose on this critical issue. Let us be remembered as the generation of leaders who did not just talk about the future, but took the bold, decisive, and historic step to fund it. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Nitiu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the maker of the statement. It's a very good call, Mr. Speaker. The National Youth Development Fund concept is not new. In fact, in the Eastern African countries, it's very widespread. It's many countries, Namibia, many countries, we have that fund. And in those countries, the fund primarily fills a certain gap. Because if you are a very young person who completes school, the difficulty of having to have collateral to be able to get a loan is very, very high, extremely very high. So they use this fund to provide collateral-free loans for the young people, and also virtually interest-free loans, because the interest is per annum between 2% to about 4% or even 3%. So if you can do this for the young people of this country, I'm quite sure that a lot of them with very good entrepreneurial ideas will succeed. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to support him and say that we should target the young people, not allow the fund to degenerate or the fund to be like the Maslow fund or all these kind of funds that people believe that it has become political funds, where you bring the fund, you're only looking at your party members and your constituency members. No, it should be a fund that we should support for the young people of Ghana. All the loose money around, we can pull it together and put it there and tie it to the Ghana Development Bank, the Consolidated Development Bank or Ghana Development Bank or Agri Development Bank, that will continuously be funding this, and government should be supporting them. And like I said, if we target certain core areas like agriculture, like ITC, manufacturing, creative industry, tourism, and get the youth to focus on these areas, I'm quite sure that we will succeed. Mr. Speaker, how can we explain to people that we are importing sugar to the tune of over 2 billion cedis? We are importing maize. We are importing rice to a tune of over 2 billion Ghana cedi. How? Why should we be doing that? Mr. Speaker, we should change it because we have very fertile lands. If you have the opportunity to fly across Ghana, especially in the southern sector, what we call the forest belt, Mr. Speaker, you'll be amazed about the quality of land that we have. So we have the land, and we should be able to get some of our young people to do that. Look, President Ofebwanyi, in those days, before you took up a ministerial position, one of the guiding principles he had was whether you had a cocoa farm, whether you had a farm. Otherwise, he will not make you a minister. Even if you became a minister, you must make sure that you have a big cocoa farm. The government will help you secure the land, and then they will ensure that you can do farming to support. And so, if we get our young people into agriculture, we get our young people into green economy, we get our young people into manufacturing, ITC, creative industry, and hospitality industry, we will be creating entrepreneurs. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, the biggest problem we are facing today is youth unemployment. That's the biggest problem. It's a time bomb. And I've always said it, that countries that fail to tackle youth employment are just waiting to get the young people explode one day. And we should not be waiting for that to happen. It's a serious security risk. It's a national security risk. And we must find a way of doing that. You can only do that when you behave like what the Americans did. In America, for example, the Americans started putting in the minds of the young people something we call the American dream, where he becomes the employer. So every American young man or young woman, all he wants to do is to become the employer and not the employee. So he gives you his time and his energy for about 2-3 years, and all he's thinking of, what can I do to also become the employer? Because at the end of the day, if you are just an employee, you are just working for somebody to make the resources and to make the money off you. Or he's using your time, he's using your energy, he's using your brains, he's using everything to make the money. So they think that, well, if I become the employer, if I become a farm manager, and I can employ 2 or 3 people, I become the employer. If I become the carpenter in that place, and I'm producing furniture that Parliament can buy, that Ghanaians can buy, that I can export, I become the employer. If I am doing even tailoring job, where I employ 6-7 people, I become the employer. If I am doing boat construction, where fishermen can buy my boat, I become the employer. If I have a yam farm there, where I can employ laborers to work for me, I become the employer. If I have a chop bar, or a kenke bar, or I have the wache joint, where I become the employer, I can employ other people. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm clear in my mind that...
Honourable Member, your time is up.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I thought that this one we don't
automatically. No, this is being controlled. Yes, minority leadership. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to Honourable Asafoje.
Honourable Asafoje, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to commend the maker of the statement, the Member of Parliament from Kache in Chumru. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important statement. And it is important because of the category of people we are talking about. And these are the most vulnerable people within the society, Mr. Speaker. It appears as though when all the political parties are making campaigns, our buffer, our stock, or the point where we fall on more for votes is the youth. Mr. Speaker, it happens that it is because of the vulnerability of these youth that we use them for some of these things. Now, this statement is averting our mind to the critical state and nature of the fact that we find a lasting solution to funding and creating jobs and opportunities for them. Mr. Speaker, there are some youth developmental funds and projects. We have the Youth Employment Agency. We have the National Youth Authority.
We have the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. We have the Ghana Enterprise Agency. Mr. Speaker, all these agencies and groups and institutions are youth-funded institutions. Mr. Speaker, you will notice that the National Youth Authority has a source of funding, which is the parliamentary allocations. We have about 5% District Assembly Common Fund that is earmarked for the National Youth Authority. Mr. Speaker, the YEA, you have a statutory allocation that goes to them, and we have 80% of communication service staff that are earmarked for the YEA. We have 10% District Assembly Common Fund that is earmarked for YEA. And then we have 5% of the Ghana Education Trust Fund that is also earmarked for YEA. Mr. Speaker, when you look at all the funds, the funds that are mentioned, the YEA, the Youth Employment, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, and all the programs that I'm mentioning, Mr. Speaker, they have a certain source of funding. For me, it is about how we are integrating all these sorts of funding and direct them towards achieving a certain purpose we are looking at. Mr. Speaker, if we are not careful, we will have a fragmented youth development fund scattered across the country all over based on governmental decisions and policies and priorities. And we may not necessarily achieve what we want to achieve in future. Mr. Speaker, the MPP will come and decide to develop another model to fund or create jobs for youth, and then set out a fund to go and look at it. The NDC will come tomorrow and also want to do a separate or a different thing to also find a ways to develop the youth or create jobs for the youth. Mr. Speaker, what is important is that how are we working and integrating all these things so that we have a certain central development fund and a dedicated, committed pool to support our youth and create opportunities for our youth. If we are not careful and we don't do some of these things well, and our youth comes to lose hope in the system, that is where we will find a lot of brain drain. Young men and women are leaving the shores of Ghana to go somewhere to go find job, where they believe that there is a better and proper system that would provide for them or that will take care of them. If we are not careful, we will even find people misusing and abusing the system that we have because it is very fragmented. Mr. Speaker, I commend the maker of the statement once again, and I think that we must look at this as a house. If the Committee for Youth Development or the Committee for Labor would go much more into this and see if we can have a certain integrated pool or a certain, joint dedicated fund instead of fragmenting and separating and scattering all the funds across because of individual or party priorities, then we'll be looking at where or a point where the country can be bold and be certain about a certain dedicated fund committed by government, successive government, to use it to develop the youth. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes.
Speaker, just to humbly draw your attention.
I'll have to take two from here.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Honorable Franca Free.
Speaker, thank you so much. Speaker, let me also proceed to add my voice to the Speaker who had just ended to commend the maker of the statement on bringing to the fore an issue as relevant as the establishment of a youth development fund. Speaker, the youth constitute the future of this nation, and any attempt to get our governance structure right, we must not exclude them. Getting them involved will mean that we are answering the challenges of the future. Mr. Speaker, as is colloquially said, when these youth are idle, the devil finds job for them. Data from the Ghana Statistical Service revised edition in 2024 put youth unemployment at a staggering rate of 32%. Indeed, as has earlier on been observed, this is like a time bomb. Matters of job, matters of livelihood, and the rest must be taken seriously. Now is the time. fortunately for us, establishing a fund of this nature, we might not be inventing or reinventing the wheel anyway, as very practical and useful examples exist in other jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, but the most important thing for us to note is that plethora of funds that are youth-based exist. Unfortunately, the crux of the issue here has to do with application or how we apply them. Often, partisanship takes the central stage in our consideration. The mode in which we dish out some of these funds, hard-earned funds of the ordinary citizen to party cronies, is at the heart of the reason we've not been able to find a very useful source of funding for youth entrepreneurship. Mr. Speaker, as the maker of the statement rightly said, the youth are gifted with talent, they have energy, they are mentally resourceful, and indeed they are prepared to take the challenge in order to secure their own future. Ours is to help them by ensuring that this House take the bold decision of coming out with a fund that will insulate itself from the partisanship, the needless partisan consideration that we have suffered in time past, regardless of regimes. Mr. Speaker, but I think that the most important news for me has to do with the fact that we have a regime today that is extremely committed to matters of the youth. Indeed, His Excellency, the President, in the course of his campaign, has outlined his roadmap for equipping the youth with entrepreneurship under the National Apprenticeship Program. Indeed, we are rolling out equipment to enable and make this particular campaign promise a reality. Mr. Speaker, we have again identified that one of the difficulties that youth encounter, particularly for which reason they seek funding, is about land acquisition and then agribusiness in general. Currently, the President has encouraged any youth, particularly youth in my constituency, Afajato, where we go into cocoa production, that land acquisition, land preparation, seedlings, fertilizer, every equipment, every input and tool that will enable them to cultivate cocoa farms is ready and they will be supplied with it. Mr. Speaker, the President is desirous of ensuring that within the next 4 years, we are able to create about 200,000 hectares of cocoa farms. And this is what the youth must take advantage of. Indeed, under the Feed Ghana program, we are rolling out a lot of incentives and support system for the youth. So it's not just a matter of establishing the fund alone, but it is also about the youth taking advantage of all the policies of the system as we have them currently. Mr. Speaker, when we are able to do this.
Yes, Honorable Adamagbana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement. Mr. Speaker, let me commend the maker of the statement for making this very important statement on behalf of the youth of this country. Mr. Speaker, currently, more than 50% of Ghana's population are under the age of 35. What it means is that our population is largely youth-driven, and for that matter, it is important for us as a country to adequately support and prepare and build the capacity of these young people. Mr. Speaker, successive governments have invested heavily in youth-led policies and programs. But many of these programs, we must admit, has not really impacted in empowering young people and solving the problem of unemployment because of how it is structured. Mr. Speaker, from 1993 till today, every single government that we have had has dedicated some fund
or has allocated money to support youth-led programs. We recently had, yes, we have NEIP and all of that. But Mr. Speaker, if we are to do a critical analysis, cost-benefit analysis of all of these programs, the question is, with all the money that we have invested in programs like YES, NEIP, how many young entrepreneurs today can we point to that have been very successful because of this support? It is simply because over the years, these support schemes are done in such a way that they are either episodic initiatives or they are done just to satisfy a certain political agenda momentarily. Mr. Speaker, when you go to countries like Kenya, Namibia, and so where youth funds really work, where many young entrepreneurs are supported and you see the benefit of this support, the way it is structured, it is such a way that, Mr. Speaker, you will see really the outcome, the impact of these programs. This statement is calling for government to establish a national youth development fund. What this fund will do is that, Mr. Speaker, it will provide a buffer where young entrepreneurs who are doing so well, but because maybe they do not have access to capital or loans from the banks, because they do not have the collateral that is needed to go to the commercial market, they can rely on this buffer in order to grow their business. Mr. Speaker, we have many young entrepreneurs today, the likes of Caveman, who is producing very beautiful watches that even our president is wearing his brand. We have the likes of Horseman Shoes, Giddens, also producing beautiful shoes. We have many other young entrepreneurs who are doing very well, but they need support. We have the likes of Bondana, who is designing very beautiful shirts that even presidents of other countries are wearing, beyond even our president alone. As I speak, even our energy minister, he wears Bondana. But Mr. Speaker, all these young entrepreneurs cannot boast of any support from the state, to expand. I don't know what Mr. Speaker is wearing, but I'm sure, but it looks very Ghanaian. Mr. Speaker, thank you for wearing made in Ghana. But Mr. Speaker, back to the point. We need to, as a country, be very strategic about investing in young people. Beyond setting up funds where we are giving 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 to young entrepreneurs. The question is, all that we have doled out since 93, how many successful entrepreneurs have we produced from any of these funds? If it is possible, Mr. Speaker, even if it means supporting a young entrepreneur with 1 million Ghana cedis, with 10 million, 50 million, and we are sure that that entrepreneur will take over the entire market, create jobs, and in the end pay back the state, I think it is more sustainable. I want to plead, Mr. Speaker, that this statement be given the necessary attention, because, Mr. Speaker, today, across our constituencies, the greatest challenge that we are confronted with is the challenge of unemployment. And, Mr. Speaker, the support for young people should not be treated as a social intervention. In conclusion, support for young people, the setting up of this fund, should not be treated as a social intervention, but it should be treated as a strategic investment that will solve even the problem of instability in the future. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to plead with you and the House that the House seriously considers pushing this agenda so that
Honourable members, we've come to the end of that statement. Last but not the least is in the name of Honourable Akwesi Jemfi Onyina Achampong. Honourable members, I would direct that this statement be published in the Hansard as I called on one that will escape, standing in the name of Ms. Bahu Mahama Adams, Member of Parliament for Myong.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to extend my warmest wishes to my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters across Ghana and beyond as we observe the sacred month of Ramadan.
a period of deep reflection, devotion, and self-discipline. Mr. Speaker, as we embark on this month of fasting, we must acknowledge the unusual heat wave currently affecting northern Ghana and many other parts of the country. This unbearable heat in the region has always exacerbated the challenges of fasting, posing severe health risks and threatening livelihoods, notably children, the elderly, and those fasting. Mr. Speaker, this is a clear manifestation of climate change. Mr. Speaker, Islam encourages self-care and moderation, and it is crucial that Muslims take necessary precaution during this month. I strongly advise all fasting individuals to stay hydrated, drink enough water between iftar, that's the breaking of fast, and suhoor, the dawn meal, to prevent dehydration. Avoid excessive sun exposure, thus minimize outdoor activities, especially during the peak hours of the heat. Consume nutritious meals, eat fruits and foods rich in water to sustain energy levels. And above all, let us read the Quran the more, as Ramadan is a month of Quran. Mr. Speaker, beyond these personal precautions, we must also reflect on the environmental changes contributing to this extreme heat. The Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah, thus may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, strongly encouraged tree planting, saying, and I quote, "If a Muslim plants a tree or sows seeds and then bears, or a person or animal eats from it, it is regarded as a charitable gift." That's sadaqah for him. Mr. Speaker, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that's the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, again admonishes us to plant more trees, as the benefits of trees are endless to the environment and to us as sadaqah jariyah when we are no more. This timeless guidance remains relevant today. Trees deliver essential ecosystems by providing shade, cooling the environment, and mitigating climate change. The situation calls for urgent and decisive climate action by the government and relevant stakeholders. I therefore make a clarion call to the Minister of State in charge of climate change and sustainability, the Minister for Environment and Technology, and the Ghana Tree Crop Development Authority to intensify efforts in climate adaptation and mitigation strategies. The Ghana Tree Crop Development Authority must take proactive steps in promoting agroforestry and sustainable land management practices to counteract the effect of extreme temperatures. Additionally, stakeholders should spearhead innovative climate resilience programs, including afforestation and sustainable irrigation projects, to safeguard our communities from the harsh impacts of climate change. Moreover, I urge the Ministry of State, Climate Change and Sustainability to advance policies that encourage renewable energy adoption and climate-smart agricultural practices. Mr. Speaker, as we seek the blessings of this holy month, let us also heed our responsibility as stewards of the earth. Let us pray, fast, and act by taking care of our health, protecting our environment, and promoting sustainability in our communities. I therefore urge all stakeholders, particularly in northern Ghana, to embrace tree planting initiatives as a long-term strategy to combat the rising temperatures and desertification affecting our region. May this Ramadan bring peace, good health, and prosperity to all Ghanaians. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All members, that's the statement. It's now time for comment. Yes, Honorable Buama.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statement ably made by my brother, Ms. Bao, and also to take advantage and wish our Muslim brothers Ramadan Kareem. If you go to my constituency in Afenyo, we have a very huge Muslim population. And so I am at all faults with the statement that he has made, particularly linking the effects of climate change in the area of heat to the effect on the people during the Ramadan fasting. Mr. Speaker, I have quite a good experience in the North over the past years, about 20 years and beyond. When you go to the North, yes, we've always noted that the temperatures there have been very high compared to the South. But recently, when we visited there as a committee, you could literally feel the heat, even in a time where you didn't expect the heat to be as strong as it is today. So it clearly tells us that there are certain things that are going on, which is affecting the climate as we see today. And so we all have a collective responsibility to do something about it. Mr. Speaker, he mentioned about deforestation. You know, if you take our country, there's always been a clarion call. How are we protecting our forests? And you realize that our forests have not had any strategic government intervention or any government policy to protect the forests that we have. And it's even being compounded by the activities of illegal mining, because previous lands that were used for agricultural purposes, today you've seen an impact of illegal mining activities because they are unapproved in the area of legalization. They go in there and destroy our forest reserve. And so it's a very important situation we need to look at as a government and as a parliament so that we can take strategic actions in minimizing the effect of deforestation and then also the activities of illegal mining. Mr. Speaker, to just conclude because of time, I would want to urge this House that collectively we have a responsibility to look at our laws that governs our climate and our environment. The Committee of Environment, Science and Technology should also, which of course I'm a part of that committee, should also be looking at some interventions, engagement with the sector ministry to make sure that at the end of the day, we get the best for this country. Mr. Speaker, to our Muslim brethren, as they go towards the final lap of their fasting period, I want to wish them very well. You can see that some of their faces are shining. The way Suhini is brightening today in the house, I believe that it's going well for him. Please, the advice is that avoid the heat during its high moment so that you can reserve some energy. Mr. Speaker, without more, I want to commend the maker of the statement for this very important statement made. I thank you.
Yes, I'll give the floor to Sule.
Mr. Speaker, let me sincerely thank you for this opportunity and to also thank my brother for this very historic, very important, very relevant statement. Fasting, as enshrined in the Quran, in Quran chapter 2, verse 183, says that, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, kutiba alaykum siyawma, kama kutiba lalazina min qablikum la'allakum tatakun. To it, all you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard against self-restraint. And this is very important. Mr. Speaker, you can open the Quran. And that is why I'm saying that open to Quran chapter 2, verse 183.
Please address the chair.
Mr. Speaker, the relevance of this chapter, this verse, is the linkage between the Christian fast and the Muslim fast. Coincidentally, this year, the Catholics started their 40th fasting period with the Muslims. And it's not just by coincidence, it has its historic meaning. Mr. Speaker, the Quran says that as it was prescribed for those before you. Who are those before you? Those before you are the Christians, the Jews. When the Prophet ﷺ left Mecca and was going to Medina, he went to Medina and met the Christians, the Jews, and they were already fasting. So he started fasting and copying what they were doing until this chapter, this verse, was revealed to him. now telling him that the fasting that you are emulating is also prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you. Mr. Speaker, today we now fast 30 days. There are some who fast 7 days. Indeed, Moses, before the commandment, how to fast. And so there's some relationship between today's fasting as Muslims and the Christian fasting. That tells us that we are together. We are the same people. We are worshiping the same God. Monotheism, that's how we see it. Worshiping of one God. Mr. Speaker, in the month of Ramadan, we have so many very beautiful events that every Muslim will want to be associated with. In this month, we are talking about what we call tahajjud, an additional supplementary prayers, where when you do it, you feel closer and you feel that spiritually you are growing. In this month, we have what we call the Laylatul Qadr, and we are using this opportunity to invite our colleagues that tomorrow, inshallah, we will be observing the ninth of power. And let me thank the Speaker for this opportunity. The leadership of this parliament have over the years supported us as Muslims to be able to celebrate this ninth of power. And so tomorrow, all our colleagues, whether you're a Muslim, you are not a Muslim, you are all invited. Let us celebrate this night. It is a night that Allah says that it is better than 1,000 years. Yes. He says that in Quran chapter 97, that inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr wa ma adraka ma laylatil qadr laylatul qadr khayrun min alf shahr tanazzalu al malaikatu wa ruhu fiha bi izni rabbih min kulli amr salam hiya hatta matullah al fajr. To summarize this, Mr. Speaker, God says that within this ninth of power, there is this ninth which is better than 1,000 months. And there's a reason why God said that in the Quran. Apart from the Prophet Muhammad, all other prophets had lived longer. But he lived 63 years. And his ummah were worried why he lived 63 years. And his concern was that I wanted to live longer so that I could serve my God. And God is telling him that don't be bothered. There's a particular night between the 20th and 30th of the month of Ramadan, and that night is worth 1,000 years. And that is the solution, the comfort that was given to Prophet Muhammad and his followers. And so today, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are a good friend to the Muslim community, I know. And so thank God, thank you for that. So, Mr. Speaker, there are so many benefits of Ramadan fasting. The medical people will tell you that when you fast, you even lose weight. Some people lose weight because they want to.
Honorable member, your time is up. Yes, minority leadership. Minority leadership.
Speaker. Speaker, this year something very strange happened. Lent and Ramadan coincided. Lent started same day as Ramadan. So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very big spiritual push for humanity. Mr. Speaker, when the maker of the statement brought this issue of Ramadan to our attention and the benefit thereto, he also drew our attention to extreme heat in the north and talked about the fact that we've destroyed our environment and we need to plant more trees. Mr. Speaker, earlier we had heard from Honorable Ajinsem, who had spoken
about entrepreneurs and micro, small, medium-sized enterprises, and also emphasize the need for us as a country to build an entrepreneurial hub of Africa so that we promote private sector engagement. Mr. Speaker, in his statement, he had also called upon us to create a platform to encourage innovation, productivity, and also create a healthy competition for our entrepreneurs. That would obviously create a platform for the private sector so that more of our youth get jobs to do. Mr. Speaker, connecting this statement to what the member for Mion just said, Mr. Speaker, we all are aware how Galamsey is destroying the environment. And the member talked about the need for us to ensure we do tree planting. The statement spoke about Mr. Speaker, the statement spoke about climate change and then gave us the background to climate change. That as a result of destruction of our forest cover, we are experiencing extreme heat, and there is a need, therefore, to plant trees. I am saying that directly connected to this is the need, Mr. Speaker, to create an opportunity for our youth, especially so when, Mr. Speaker, we are aware that one of the factors destroying our forest cover is Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, from what he said, the climatic conditions becoming worse as a result of Galamsey. That is the main source of the destruction of our forest cover, where tree felling, where our water bodies are being destroyed, and, Mr. Speaker, people are even pulling down their cocoa trees, their farms, because of the attraction of Galamsey. So, Mr. Speaker, the call is the right call. And coming at this very holy month, where we are fasting as Christians, fasting as Muslims, Mr. Speaker, he couldn't have emphasized the more that we need to take our environment as a treasured asset, not to destroy our environment. And, Mr. Speaker, for the areas that we know Galamsey activities have destroyed the forest cover, government will need to invest in tree planting. He talked about tree crop. We in this house, we passed a law. The Tree Crop Development Authority bill was passed, and we established that institution. Recently, they did a conference, a summit, Tree Crop Summit at the International Conference Center. And the majority leader and my good self were there to make some remarks. Mr. Speaker, we have to encourage our youth to go into tree crop farming. Mr. Speaker, coconut, mango, and other tree crops should be seen as a major source of employment. Mr. Speaker, I was in the Bono area over the weekend, and they were talking about cashew. We seem to have forgotten about some of these, cash crops, and we are not putting in policies to attract the youth in that direction. This is the reason why they go on the Galamsey path and they destroy our environment. Mr. Speaker, the member for Mion has drawn our attention to an important matter, and we don't have to be partisan about it.
He couldn't have said it better. So, Mr. Speaker, I would propose that this statement should not just end here. Mr. Speaker, my proposal is for you to make a referral of this very important statement to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, for them to, Mr. Speaker, pull out a statement, sift a statement out of this all-important statement from our colleague from Mio, so that, Mr. Speaker, there can be a national policy to guide the youth and create that space, that resources, that funding for the many who would want to see it as an alternative source of employment. Mr. Speaker, otherwise, they would continue to see mining, or the illegal mining, otherwise known as galamsey, as their main source of bread. And we all know the effects of that, as was ably stated by the member who made the statement. Mr. Speaker, that said, I would want to rest my case and commend him highly for the industry that went into the statement.
Majority leadership. Please. Honorable Soini, you have the floor. Honorable Soini, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement made by my brother and colleague from the Miang constituency, Honorable Ms. Bao. Mr. Speaker, the statement couldn't have come at an appropriate time. And I just wish to reiterate, quoting Quran chapter 2, 185, where we are told, quote, Allah intends for you ease and does not intend for you hardship. Mr. Speaker, it is to conserve the time that I have to speak. Mr. Speaker, it is for good reason that this provision in the Quran is used to urge members of the faith to understand that the religion is not to be a burden upon them. And that is why even with fasting, even though it is prescribed and it is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, there are still exemptions. There are temporary exemptions and there are permanent exemptions. And exemptions that sometimes relate to health. If you are unhealthy to fast, fasting is not compulsory to you. There are, however, remedies that are recommended. For example, the feeding of in the past it was said a slave, but now you can feed people who are fasting, or you help people who are fasting to break their fast, or the needy or poor in society. And that also represents, you get the same reward as if you had fasted, if you are exempted as a result of ill health. I would have wished that we got the medical opinion on the medical importance of fasting. But since we are limited by the numbers this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, I want to stress on a point that was made earlier by my colleague Yusuf when he quoted from the Quran and talked about self-restraint. Mr. Speaker, the cornerstone of Ramadan and fasting is to teach self-restraint. Self-restraint in every aspect of life. It talks about discipline. And Mr. Speaker, you can equate this to what is said in the Bible, Corinthians 6:12, where it, I don't quote like Dr. Mahmoud Baumi, I actually quote correctly, where it is said that all things are lawful. Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking about Psalm 23. I'm talking about Corinthians.
Honorable
talking about
members,
Corinthians.
the
I'm not
word
talking
like
about
I
Psalm
don't quote
23.
like Mahmoud Baumia is ordered to be expunged from the
Mr. Speaker.
record
I
as
am
if it
guided.
doesn't exist.
I am guided. But Mr. Speaker, in Corinthians, we are told that all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. Mr. Speaker, this is to tell us, and that is what we are supposed to learn from Ramadan and from fasting, that even though you may have the right, you may have the capacity to do certain things, you should be able to exercise some restraint, some self-restraint. At least for 30 days in a month, be disciplined. And it is, the hope is that after you, in fact, life coaches will even tell you that to change a habit or an attitude, you need to stay, with that behavior for about 30 days or less. And then you can replace an old habit with a new one. And so you are taught that at least for 30 days in a year, you should be disciplined in all aspects of life. I don't want to give some examples. Mr. Speaker, you should be disciplined. And the anticipation is that even after the 30 days, you can continue with that disciplined life. Mr. Speaker, so it is not just denying yourself food and water. It's not just denying yourself, it is also to deny yourself some of the pleasures of life that you know are not even religious or good for you. So, Mr. Speaker, on this note, I hope and pray that we will all get the benefits of this holy month of Ramadan, and we will come out of this holy month.
Honourable members, we have exhausted all statements scheduled on the order paper. Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, by my reckoning, we've done exactly 5 hours. So, Speaker, we are entirely in your hands.
Honourable members, yes.
Speaker, this side of the House has a major concern. Mr. Speaker, we, in this House, we deal with public business that emanate from the government. There are also initiatives of members of parliament, not limited to statements and questions, but also motions. And Mr. Speaker, we must find space to deal with all of them. Mr. Speaker, the minority has had a pending motion in this House. This is the 9th month. This is the 9th month. Anytime this motion had been scheduled to be taken, Mr. Speaker, we are told that it be shifted for another. Mr. Speaker, I would want to put on record that the motion is of such importance that this House of Parliament cannot continue to let it pend. It's about the unemployment situation. It's about mass dismissal of Ghanaians who otherwise were in the employ of state institutions. Mr. Speaker, the motion was moved, seconded, and he, the Majority Chief Whip, was the first contributor on that side. And it was adjourned for us to continue the debate so that Mr. Speaker can make a final ruling on it. Mr. Speaker, the youth out there who have been sitting home for over a year
are looking up to this house for a voice. It cannot be that anytime the minority raises this matter, the majority would find a way subtly to deny us the opportunity of concluding a debate on this matter. Second, Mr. Speaker, there is another motion that has to do with Gold Board and Bank of Ghana, which was admitted and duly advertised. Mr. Speaker, we've raised this several times with our colleagues. They promise that we will deal with it. We get into the chamber, an excuse is given one way or the other, and we don't deal with it. Mr. Speaker, I am saying this so that nobody will say that the minority side slept on its rights. We have said this over and over again, and I will plead with the majority chief whip.
Honorable Minority Leader,
Mr. Speaker,
we've agreed to sit on Monday to exhaust questions and statements. That was the basis for us sitting on Monday. We have not agreed to sit on Monday to take motions or do any other business. So a situation where the agreement is to sit on Monday and take questions and exhaust all the statements, and we are going to discuss a pending motion, I have a difficulty about it. Because at the conclave, the plea was that we should sit on Monday to exhaust all the pending questions and pending statements. So having exhausted that, I think the time is due for us to adjourn, and the House is accordingly adjourned till Tuesday, 10th March 2026 at 12 noon.